Chapter 294. Watching Wu Hei walk into the blue clouds road from afar, under the cover of the blue clouds, it was impossible to see what Wu Hei had encountered in the blue clouds road. However, after a short while, that beast roar sounded again. Wu Hei! Another one seeking death, Ho Fei said softly beside Qin Yu. Qin Yu also nodded. The blue clouds road was almost 10,000 miles long, and Reverend Ming Shan had only entered for a short while before dying. Qin Yu dared to confirm that Reverend Ming Shan had not even reached 1/10 of the journey. In other words, Reverend Ming Shan had died before encountering any real danger. This Wu Hei, how much stronger was he compared to Reverend Ming Shan? Roar. An extremely angry roar sounded, but it weakened after a short while. Almost at the same time, Du Zhongjun, Man Gone and the others looked towards Wu Hei's soul jade slip on the ground. Wu Hei's soul jade slip was in good condition and had not shattered at all. Wu Hei seems to have passed through the first hurdle of the blue clouds road. Man Gone smiled and looked towards Du Zhongjun. Du Zhongjun, perhaps that Wu Hei has a stroke of luck and can really reach the other end of the blue clouds road, the 9 heavens. Du Zhongjun only smiled. How could the blue clouds road be so easy to pass? That roar just now could be heard even by the people at the White Jade Plaza. It was obvious that the location of the battle was very close to the White Cloud Plaza. Whether Wu Hei can reach the 9 heavens, that is hard to say. However, he has at least walked further than Ming Shan, Du Zhongjun said with an indifferent smile. At the same time, he glanced at Hua Yan, seemingly very pleased with himself. Hua Yan was expressionless, and only quietly listened to the sounds coming from the blue clouds road. Yes, the sound of energy colliding, Ao Feng said with a frown. At the beginning it was a beast roar. Could it be that there are demonic beasts at the front of the blue clouds road? And now there are energy collisions. Looks like there are still living people in Nai Yang's realm. Even if it was a demonic beast that could kill Reverend Ming Shan would definitely have cultivated into a human body and possessed human intelligence. Nai Yang's realm wasn't filled with a lifeless aura. It also had living demonic beasts and living humans within it. Man Gone also frowned as he nodded and said, "Yes, there might be subordinates of immortal Emperor Nai Yang in Nai Yang's realm back then. That's not right." Not right. Man Qian's eyes suddenly brightened, as he pondered in his heart. Back then, when immortal Emperor Nai Yang entered the mortal realm from that place, he definitely did not have a single subordinate. Where did the current subordinates come from? Where did that beast roar come from? Man Qian quietly pondered. Could it be that they are the people that immortal Emperor Nai Yang took in from the mortal realm back then? Impossible. Those people must ascend when they reach the Ascension realm. Don't tell me it's one. Man Gone's eyes lit up. At that moment, Ao Feng also gave Man Gone a strange smile. Man Gone also sneered at Ao Feng. As for Hua Yan and Du Zhongjun, they simply did not know where this beast roar came from. "Brother Ao Feng, you want to compete with me for this?" Man Gone directly used the transmission talisman to send a message. He did not want Du Zhongjun and Hua Yan to know that that thing was actually also within Nai Yang's realm. "Brother Man Gone, let's not talk about that. Isn't it just that scroll? I'm sure you can guess what kind of treasure it is. This really surprised me. This scroll was actually in Nai Yang's realm. This was a surprise that came out of nowhere. Other than the treasure that the big shots of the immortal, devil and demon realms coveted. In the entire Nai Yang's realm, this scroll is at least ranked second. I had even thought that immortal Emperor Nai Yang would bestow this scroll to a fated person. I did not expect that it was actually left behind in Nai Yang's realm. If I obtain it... even if I, Ao Feng, am a golden dragon, my position within the dragon clan can also be compared to a 5-clawed golden dragon." Ao Feng's message clearly indicated that Ao Feng was determined to obtain the scroll. "Alright, you want to obtain it, and I also want to obtain it. When that time comes, we will have to see our true abilities," Man Gone said through the transmission talisman. Ao Feng also gave Man Gone an indifferent smile. However, Ao Feng had an idea in his heart. Currently, the big shots of the immortal devil and demon realms have all broken through the barriers between the two realms, and allowed the emissaries of the realms to descend to the mortal realm to seize that plaything. Even if I do not obtain it, it would not be considered a capital offense. Why not? Use that trump card to fight for this scroll. Once I have it, my position can definitely undergo an earth-shattering change. The 4 great emissaries of the higher realms were all fighting for that legendary treasure for their respective leaders. However, even if they obtained it, they would still have to give it to their own leaders. They did not have any benefits. That was why. It would be better to bear the crime of incompetence, and instead obtain that scroll. Using that trump card to fight for the scroll, Ao Feng's selfishness was already very heavy. Ao Feng could not be blamed. After all, that treasure's fame was too great. If it was in the immortal devil and demon realm, how could a person at Ao Feng's level possibly touch such a treasure? If I obtain it, my power can definitely increase by more than 10 times. Ao Feng's heart began to tremble. His desire to fight for that scroll had already reached its peak. He was excited, but how could Man Gone not be excited? Currently, only the 2 of them had guessed the existence of that scroll, while Hua Yan and Du Zhongjun still did not know. Pang! A clear sound similar to a jade piece exploding rang out in the white jade plaza. Wu Hei's corresponding soul jade slip finally cracked open. Full 6 hours. Wu Hei had entered the Blue Clouds Road for 6 hours before he died. The side of the loose immortals and loose devils have already dispatched people. It should be your dragon clan's turn. Man Gone smiled as he looked towards Ao Feng. Ao Feng said very indifferently, Elder Yen Shan, I will have to trouble you to take action. The dragon clan's 3 great elders, Yen Shan, Ao Su, and Ao Yen. However, Ao Yen had already died during the battle at the Scattered Treasures Cliff. Only Yen Shan and Ao Su, the 2 great elders, remained. Yen Shan was a silver dragon at the 12th Tribulation Loose Demon Realm, while Ao Su was a black dragon at the 11th Tribulation Loose Demon Realm. Yen Shan's power was obviously a notch higher, compared to Reverend Ming Shan and Wu Hei. A silver dragon at the 12th Tribulation was the strongest. Elder Yen Shan, be careful. Feng Tian instructed Yen Shan. Clan leader Lord Emissary, please do not worry. Yen Shan said with a smile, then calmly walked into the Blue Clouds Road. Man Gone smiled faintly and said, Brother Ao Feng, I see that this elder Yen Shan of yours is still very strong. At least he is much stronger than Wu Hei. I believe that he should be able to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. Whether he passes or not will depend on his personal power. It is useless to say it now. Ao Feng said with a faint smile. At that moment, the 2 people had already begun to secretly fight. For that scroll, they would not hesitate to kill the other party. Man Gone looked at Ao Feng and sneered in his heart. His Majesty is really generous this time. Perhaps my identity as the super divine beast, purple-eyed bull demon king, has taken effect to actually bestow a low-grade divine equipment to me. Although it is the lowest grade of offensive low-grade divine equipment, it is still much more powerful than a finest-grade immortal equipment. If I obtain that scroll, my power will at least increase by 10 times or more. When that time comes, there will also be more hope for me to fight for that treasure that His Majesty needs. At that moment, Man Gone was completely unable to calm down. He was constantly thinking about that scroll. From Man Gone's perspective, that scroll was really too precious to the extreme. After all, that was a scroll that even the big shots of various worlds had vainly tried to obtain at that time. It was just that immortal Emperor Ni Yang had obtained it in the end. Big brother, it has already been more than 6 hours, and that Dragon Clan elder is still not dead. Looks like he has a very high chance of passing through. Ho Fei was extremely relaxed in his heart. After all, he was currently only waiting for ascension. Qin Yu, however, did not say anything. Fei Xiaohei, do you feel that Man Gone and Ao Feng's aura is a little chaotic? Qin Yu said in a low voice. Those three brothers were whispering at one end of the White Jade Plaza, while Hua Yen, Ao Feng and the others at the center of the White Jade Plaza also did not have any ideas. Yes, Man Gong and Ao Feng do not have the same calm appearance as before. It is as if the two of them are tigers choosing to devour people, and have a kind of crazy aura. Ho Fei looked carefully, and then said in a low voice. Qin Yu also nodded. Hua Yen, Du Zhongjun, Zhongju and Feng Tian also felt the changes in Ao Feng and Man Gong's aura. Hey brother Ao Feng. We have not even started to fight for that thing. Even if you obtain it, it will also be for the Dragon Emperor. Is there a need for you to have such a crazy look? You are a little too excited. Du Zhongjun spoke out. Ao Feng took a deep breath and said with a smile, seeing that we are about to reach the 9 heavens, I am a little excited. Sigh, the cultivation of my temperament is still not enough. Brother Man Gong, your power is the strongest. There is no need to be too nervous. Zhongju said softly. Man Gong also tried hard to suppress the surging emotions in his heart, and only nodded. Come. If anyone else on the scene knew about the existence of that scroll, they would not be calm, and would also be unable to calm down. A clear shattering sound rang out once again. Yen Shan is dead. Ao Su's expression changed, and the faces of many experts were also a little ugly. Among the 3 great elders of the Dragon Clan, Yen Shan's power was ranked first, and was even comparable to Reverend Ming Liang and Wukong Shui at that time. If even Yen Shan was dead, the difficulty of this Blue Clouds Road could be imagined. The Dragon Clan has passed, it should be the Wilderness Demon Clan's turn. Ao Feng looked towards Man Gong. Man Gong slowly said, Kong Chao, it is up to you. Yes, my lord. Kong Chao really did not have much confidence in his heart, but he still accepted the order and stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. The 9-headed snake Kong Chao was the head of the 3 great demons under Yu Liang's command. The strength of his power was second only to Yu Liang in the wilderness. However, even if that was so, Kong Chao still did not have much confidence in his heart. Seeking death, Hua Yen said with a light smile. Du Zhongjun also nodded in agreement. In the eyes of the 6 great leaders, their subordinates were seeking death. Moreover, at the final 9 heavens, there would definitely be many treasures. They also did not want their subordinates to snatch away large amounts of treasures. As expected, after close to 8 hours, Kong Chao's soul jade slip also shattered. One expert after another died, causing the atmosphere on the scene to become somewhat oppressive. Next should be your people, Zhongju. Hua Yen looked towards Zhongju. At that moment, Zhongju only had one person under his command, the petrification beast, Petrify. Zhongju gave Petrify a glance and helplessly said, Petrify, your divine ability is still rather special. If you are lucky, there is still a chance of survival. Petrify only nodded, and then stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. Why do I feel that the Blue Clouds Road is a dead end? Qin Yu looked at that Blue Clouds Road that was close to 10,000 kilometers long, leading to the 9 heavens. That Blue Clouds Road, which was surrounded by countless blue clouds, had a kind of oppressive feeling in his heart. At the end of that Blue Clouds Road, it was like a large bloody mouth. Roar! That familiar roar once again sounded. However, in just an instant that roar disappeared. Petrify passed the first stage so quickly, Hua Yen said with a smile. Beside him, Du Zhongjun also echoed. At that moment, only Hua Yen and the other super experts were slightly more relaxed. The others were very nervous. After 6 hours, the soul jade slip, belonging to Petrify, once again exploded. This represented that the soul of another expert had been scattered. What a pity! Hua Yen sighed and said, in the beginning, it was from the side of the loose immortals to the side of the chaotic astral ocean. Now, it should be reversed, from the side of the chaotic astral ocean to the side of the loose immortals. In the chaotic astral ocean, there is no one under Zhongju's command. It should be time for the people of the ancient wasteland demon race to take action. Shut up, I know the rules. Man Gong looked towards the only person under his command, Yu Liang. Yu Liang, do not disappoint me, Man Gong said in a low voice. Rest assured, Your Excellency, Yu Liang said with a faint smile and a bow. This Yu Liang's aura was clearly different. The divine beast, heavenly rat, of the 12th tribulation loose demon realm, and a high-level divine beast. In terms of power, he was definitely the strongest one from the beginning until now. Once Yu Liang stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, his figure instantly disappeared. It can't be. Don't tell me that this Yu Liang wants to rely on speed to directly rush to the other end of the Blue Clouds Road in one breath? Du Zhongjun said in surprise. Ao Feng nodded and praised. Perhaps he really can succeed. After all, this Yu Liang's original body is a heavenly rat. With his speed, I reckon that among us, only Brother Zhongju can suppress him. And at that moment, Qin Yu's group of 3 stood up, because Ho Fei and Kuro were about to ascend. Big brother. Kuro looked at Qin Yu, his eyes moist. How old are you already, yet you still look like this? Alright. Big brother promises you, no matter what, I will definitely go to the demon realm to find you all. Qin Yu's heart was also full of bitterness. When he was young, without the care of his father, he and the similarly lonely Xiao Hei depended on each other for survival. How many years has it been? The relationship between him and Xiao Hei was definitely comparable to the relationship between blood brothers. The sky above actually began to vibrate, and a special kind of energy began to cover the entire Ni Yang's realm. When faced with this kind of energy, all the restrictions in the Ni Yang's realm were unable to stop it. That was the energy of the heavens. At that moment, Man Gong, Zhongju, Huayan and the others then looked towards Qin Yu's group. They saw the 3 brothers' reluctance to part, and knew that Ho Fei and Kuro were really about to ascend. Big brother, you must go to the demon realm to find us, Ho Fei said solemnly. Qin Yu could only nod his head. Rays of brilliance shot down from the sky, and directly enveloped Ho Fei and Kuro. Ho Fei and Kuro, who were enveloped by that dazzling brilliance, were instead staring at Qin Yu. In their hearts, they were anticipating that Qin Yu would succeed in creating the stellar transformations technique, and be able to successfully ascend. I will definitely go and find you all, Qin Yu said resolutely in his heart. The 3 brothers stared at each other. Ho Fei and Kuro both began to rise into the sky. That energy enveloping their entire bodies became more and more powerful, and in just a short while, the 2 of them completely turned into 2 balls of white light. The space shook, and the 2 of them disappeared. Xiao Hei Fei. Qin Yu's heart was completely cold. His entire heart was ice cold, and it froze the depths of his heart. That Xiao Hei, who appeared cold on the surface, but was as close as a brother to him, had left. That Fei, who appeared to be cheerful on the surface, but also treated him as a brother, had also left. Li Er has left. Xiao Hei and Fei have also left. Big brother and second brother have their own relatives. Father also has big brother, second brother, Uncle Feng and a group of people together. Only I am alone. At that moment, Qin Yu felt an unprecedented loneliness. Chapter 295. A cool breeze blew past his face, and his hair fluttered. Qin Yu's gaze was misty. I obtained the treasures left behind by Uncle Lon in Ni Yang's realm, then went into seclusion to comprehend and create the stellar transformations technique. Strive to ascend as soon as possible. Qin Yu said to himself in his heart. Royal father, eldest brother, and second brother all have relatives to take care of them, so I am also at ease. Only Li Er, and those 2 brothers of mine. Although Qin Yu's body was still in Ni Yang's realm, his heart was already no longer there. Brother Qin Yu, do not be too sad. The ascension of those 2 brothers of yours is the laws of heaven and earth, and cannot be obstructed at all. Moreover, you have also reached the Deshang stage, and will be able to ascend soon. Man Gong walked over and comforted him. The expression on Qin Yu's face was somewhat bleak. When he heard what Man Gong said, Qin Yu only tried his best to squeeze out a smile, That's right, I will also be able to ascend soon. That was what he said to Man Gone and was also what he said to himself. However, if he was unable to create the next level of technique, how would he enter the next realm? Qin Yu's fists could not help but clench tightly. Man Gone looked at Qin Yu's expression, and did not disturb Qin Yu any further, and let Qin Yu be alone in silence. At that moment there were still 9 people alive: Hua Yan, Shui Yuyong, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, Feng Tian, Ao Su, Zhongju, Man Gone, as well as Qin Yu. Other than Qin Yu, the other 8 people were all waiting for the results of Yu Liang challenging the Blue Clouds Road. Dead. Alive. For the time being no one could be certain. Brother Du, this Yu Liang's ability is the strongest among those who entered the Blue Clouds Road. How long do you think he can last? Is there that Dragon Clan's elder Yan Shan? Hua Yan said with a smile. Du Zhongjun muttered to himself for a moment, then said, How long can he last? He should be able to catch up to Dragon Clan's elder Yan Shan. That's right, elder Yan Shan seems to have lasted close to 8 hours. Even if Yu Liang fails, he should last for at least more than 8 hours. Yu Liang has only entered for an hour. It is still too early to discuss now. Man Qian laughed. Suddenly Man Qian frowned. Man Qian took out a piece of transmission talisman, and the smile on his face suddenly bloomed. Success. Man Gone laughed loudly. Haha, Yu Liang has already successfully reached the other end. He has succeeded. What? Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng, Feng Tian, Zhongju and the other experts were all shocked. Even Qin Yu, who was sitting at the corner of the White Jade Plaza, was startled awake. He could not help but look towards the group of people. There was a complacent smile on Man Gone's face. Listen well, I said that Yu Liang had already successfully crossed the Blue Clouds Road, and had even reached the 9 heavens. Impossible. It's only been an hour. How could it be so fast? Hua Yan is the first to refute. Just now, Dragon Clan's elder Yan Shan, as well as your subordinates, Kong Chao and the others, all persisted for more than 6 hours, but in the end they all failed. Brother Hua Yan should not be too arbitrary. Zhongju voiced out. Everyone looked towards Zhongju, and Zhongju asked in return. Dare I ask everyone, could it be that everyone has forgotten the reaction of that Yu Liang when he first stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road? Almost everyone recalled that scene. When Yu Liang had just stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, his entire person had instantly disappeared. It was obvious that he had rushed towards the other end at an extremely fast speed. Even though the Blue Clouds Road was filled with obstacles in the end, Yu Liang only used an hour to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. Speed. Zhongju nodded and said. Compared to the other people who entered the Blue Clouds Road with caution, Yu Liang instead used his speed to rush through the Blue Clouds Road. That is why it is not strange for him to succeed in an hour. Meanwhile, at that moment, the eyes of the 2 remaining pathfinders, Shui Yuyong and the Dragon Clan's elder Ao Su, both had a glimmer of light. Saying that those 2 people were pathfinders was not wrong. In the eyes of Man Gone and the others, perhaps only Man Gone, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Feng Tian, Zhongju and Ao Feng had the qualifications to fight for the treasure. The others were merely pathfinders and cannon fodder type characters. Man Gone looked towards Ao Feng and said with a smile, Brother Ao Feng, my subordinates have already passed. Now, it should be the turn of your Dragon Clan's people. Ao Feng nodded. According to the original rules, the next person should be Ao Su. Wait a moment. Hua Yan suddenly frowned and shouted. Brother Hua Yan, is there any problem? Everyone looked towards Hua Yan. Meanwhile, Qin Yu, who was sitting indifferently at a corner of the White Jade Plaza, was instead quietly watching that group of people in the center of the plaza arguing with each other. Qin Yu understood that those people did not place a Deshang stage cultivator in their eyes. However, Qin Yu was nevertheless very satisfied with that kind of situation happening. When Qin Yu heard their conversation, he secretly disagreed in his heart. Speed. Passing through this Blue Clouds Road does not only rely on speed. Listening to that beast roar, it is obvious that there are experts obstructing. that Yu Liang was able to pass through. Firstly, it is speed, and secondly, it is his valiant strength. Moreover, for a distance of 10,000 miles, if one only needs to pass through with speed, how could it possibly take an hour? What Qin Yu was thinking in his heart, Man Gong and the others naturally understood in their hearts. At that moment, everyone in the center of the plaza looked towards Hua Yan, questioning why he obstructed Ao Su from entering the Blue Clouds Road. Hua Yan smiled faintly and said, "Just now Brother Man Gong said that Yu Liang had entered the Blue Clouds Road. However, that is only your side of the story. Who knows if it is true or false? If Yu Liang was still struggling within the Blue Clouds Road at that moment, if you let other people enter, wouldn't that be sending them to their deaths?" Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng and the others felt fear in their hearts. At that moment, they also remembered the rules of the Blue Clouds Road. Only one person could enter. If two people were on the Blue Clouds Road, then those two people would undoubtedly die. Yu Liang's soul jade slip did not shatter. Moreover, he has already transmitted a message to me. You are still afraid that I will lie to you all? Man Gong sneered and said. Yu Liang's soul jade slip did not shatter. However, that does not mean that he has successfully passed through the Blue Clouds Road. That only means that Yu Liang is still not dead. You said that Yu Liang had successfully passed through, but do we have to trust you? Hua Yan asked in return. Man Gong was a little angry. He did not lie, but Hua Yan and the others did not believe him. A group of idiots. If you all do not dare to enter, then I will enter. Man Gong turned around angrily and was about to walk towards the Blue Clouds Road. Brother Man Gong need not be angry. Ao Feng immediately stopped Man Gong. No matter what, he could not let Man Gong enter first. If Man Gong entered first, then the scroll would very likely fall into Man Gong's hands. Man Gong looked coldly at Ao Feng. Could it be that Ao Feng, you did not see that they do not dare to enter? Ao Feng smiled and said, Brother Hua Yan, you all are also muddle-headed. If Man Gong wanted to frame someone, I reckon he would also frame us. Could it be that he wants to abandon Yu Liang, just to frame Elder Ao Su? Although those words had the intention of looking down on Ao Su, everyone present understood Ao Feng's inner meaning. Elder Ao Su was also someone who had cultivated for over 10,000 years, and had long become a wise person. Of course, he would not become angry because of those words. Moreover, Elder Ao Su had also deduced that Yu Liang had really successfully passed through. Looks like speed is still very useful. Ao Su already had a method to pass through the Blue Clouds Road in his heart. Lord Emissary, your subordinate will enter now. Elder Ao Su bowed and said, then stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road without hesitation. When Elder Ao Su had just stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, his entire person disappeared in a flash. Obviously, Elder Ao Su also wanted to rely on extreme speed to pass through. At that time, if one were to say who was the most attentive to the sounds of Elder Ao Su crossing the Blue Clouds Road, that would be Shui Yuyang, the next person to step onto the Blue Clouds Road. Everyone was waiting. If Elder Ao Su relied on speed to pass through, then accelerating to pass through would be feasible. Roar. The furious roar was extremely violent, and could be clearly heard in the White Jade Plaza. However, it was immediately followed by the sound of a dragon's roar. Elder Ao Su has transformed into his original form. Feng Tian was very certain. I hope that Elder Ao Su can successfully pass through. Feng Tian's heart was slightly uncomfortable. The Dragon Clan had 3 great elders. However, after entering Ni Yang's realm, 2 great elders had already died, and only 1 Elder Ao Su remained. If even Elder Ao Su died, then the Dragon Clan's apex experts would all be completely dead. Actually, it was not only the Dragon Clan. Many of the loose devils, loose immortals, and even the prehistoric demon clan's apex experts had all died. It could be said that in the battle of Ni Yang's realm, more than half of the mortal realm's super experts had died. Time passed by minute. 1 hour. There was no response. 2 hours. There was still no response. 4 hours had passed, and the soul jade slip was still fine. However, there was still no news of Elder Ao Su successfully passing through. Just as everyone was quietly waiting. Pang! A clear sound rang out, and that soul jade slip that belonged to Ao Su broke into pieces. Feng Tian's face darkened. The Dragon Clan's last elder had also died. Shui Yu Yang's face also darkened. At first, he also wanted to rely on speed to quickly pass through the Blue Clouds Road. However, after seeing Elder Ao Su's result, very obviously, relying on speed would not work. Shui Yu Yang, do your best. Hua Yan entrusted. At this time, Hua Yan also did not have much confidence in Shui Yu Yang. Although Shui Yu Yang was a rather unique person, and his strength was also extremely strong. Compared to the Dragon Clan's strongest elder, Yan Shan, there was still a gap. With Yan Shan dead, would Shui Yu Yang be able to hold on? Shui Yu Yang bowed to Hua Yan and retreated. Soon after, he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. The moment he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, Shui Yu Yang paused slightly. Should he hasten his journey, or carefully and slowly advance? The moment he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, Shui Yu Yang hesitated. However, after a moment, Shui Yu Yang's body transformed into an afterimage and rushed forward with extreme speed. He had already made his choice, to learn from Yu Liang. In merely 4 hours, the sound of the soul jade slip shattering rang out once again. This sound also indicated that those cannon fodder and pathfinders, with the exception of Yu Liang, had all died. Now, it was the turn of the 6 big shots, Man Gon, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, Zhongju, Feng Tian and Ao Feng, to enter the Blue Clouds Road. As for Qin Yu, although his strength was the weakest, because of Ao Feng and the others' promise at the beginning, he would be the last to step onto the Blue Clouds Road. 6 big shots, 4 emissaries from the higher realms. These emissaries from the higher realms all have powerful trump cards. They should all be able to pass through. However, Immortal Emperor Ai Yang had once said that for the emissaries from the immortal realm to successfully pass through, the difficulty would be extremely high. I reckon that Hua Yan will suffer. Qin Yu instantly made a judgment in his heart. According to the original setting, Sword Immortal Hua Yan would be the first to step onto the Blue Clouds Road. Hua Yan, if you pass through the Blue Clouds Road, you must immediately send a message to notify us. You must not pass through the Blue Clouds Road without notifying us, and instead make us wait here bitterly. Man Gon said coldly. Hua Yan smiled and said, that is only natural. How can I be that kind of despicable person? If Hua Yan passed through, but did not notify everyone, and made everyone wait bitterly, then he alone obtained the treasure. Then wouldn't Man Gon and the others have died unjustly? O Feng shook his head and said, it is very difficult for us to believe you. That is why, before stepping onto the Blue Clouds Road, the 6 of us must all swear. Those who successfully pass through the Blue Clouds Road must wait for the others. When the 6 of us have all passed through the Blue Clouds Road, the 6 of us can then continue forward. Otherwise, we will receive punishment from the heavens, and our souls will be scattered. Right, the 6 of us must swear. Man Gon also said. The others, Zhongju, Feng Tian, and the others also looked at Hua Yan. Hua Yan's expression changed. He was the first to enter, and naturally had some advantages. However, the 5 of them were also like that. Hua Yan could only fake a smile and said, that is only natural. Only this way can it be called fair. Immediately, the 6 great leaders all swore. Qin Yu watched from afar. The 6 of you swore. Yet you did not mention me at all. Obviously, you did not treat me as a competitor. Qin Yu's face had a trace of an indifferent smile, and only looked at the 6 great leaders. Immediately after, Hua Yan took the lead and entered the Blue Clouds Road. Man Gon smiled and said, the difficulty of the Immortal Realm emissary passing through the Blue Clouds Road is much greater than the others. I am really curious whether Hua Yan will be able to pass through alive. This is really hard to say. Du Zhongjun and the others also laughed. Time passed by. Ever since Hua Yan entered the Blue Clouds Road, the sounds of attacks and explosions were continuous. It was obviously much more intense than when the others entered. That caused Man Gone and the others to laugh in schadenfreude. After 2 hours. Boom! As if a sudden clap of thunder sounded beside his ear. Even Qin Yu was shocked. That terrifying vibration came from within the Blue Clouds Road. That explosion actually caused the blue clouds surrounding the Blue Clouds Road to be scattered. However, in just a short moment, those blue clouds once again gathered around the Blue Clouds Road. What a powerful explosion! I am afraid it has the power of a level 8 or 9 golden immortal. Man Gone and the others looked at each other in shock. That Hua Yan should have used all his trump cards. O Feng smiled. Man Gone and the others had also used their trump cards. In just a short moment. All right, I have passed. Hua Yan's transmission was transmitted over, and almost at the same time, Man Gone also nodded and said, Yu Liang sent news. He saw that Hua Yan, whose face was covered in dust, had successfully reached the 9 heavens. Face covered in dust. Ao Feng smiled and said, after using his final trump card, Hua Yan's expression should also not look good. Immediately those 5 people all laughed. Qin Yu, who was in the corner, stood up. Oh, he succeeded. I did not expect that Hua Yan would actually be able to survive such a great disaster. Qin Yu's entire person suddenly paused and looked towards a direction. In that instant there was doubt, shock, disbelief, and excitement in his eyes. However, almost in an instant, Qin Yu once again returned to his usual appearance. Luckily, Man Gone and the others were in the center, and did not notice Qin Yu, who was in the corner. Naturally, they did not notice the sudden change in Qin Yu's eyes just now. Chapter 296. Excited and nervous. Those were Qin Yu's feelings at that moment. I did not expect that this white jade sculpture was actually the same as the sculpture in front of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion's treasure storage pavilion. Qin Yu's heart was filled with excitement. That Blue Clouds Road connected the 2 ends of the White Jade Plaza. On one side was the white jade sculpture, and on the other side was the stone tablet. Qin Yu did not discover anything special about that white jade sculpture in the beginning. However, when Qin Yu was sitting at the corner of the White Jade Plaza, and had just stood up, he glanced and saw the ring on the right hand hidden within the sleeve behind the white jade sculpture. That ring appeared to be sparkling and translucent white, exactly the same color as the white jade sculpture. Even if an ordinary person carefully looked at the sculpture, they would not notice the ring. Firstly, the ring's color was exactly the same as the sculpture's color. Secondly, the right hand with the ring was hidden behind the body's back, and the right hand hidden within the long sleeve was simply in a blind spot. Only the spot where Qin Yu had stood up could be seen, and the other positions could not be seen. Last time, it was the Lord of Black Flame's ring. This time it should not be much different. What is the matter with this immortal Emperor Yang? Why must he hide this ring on top of the sculpture? Qin Yu's heart became suspicious. There was a treasure hidden in such a hidden place. If Qin Yu had not been at the corner of the White Jade Plaza, if he had not casually glanced towards that direction when he stood up, he would not have discovered that ring at all. Qin Yu also did not expect that immortal Emperor Yang would actually set up the same arrangement twice. No matter what, I cannot look at the sculpture now. If Du Zhongjun, Ao Feng and the others become suspicious, they will also discover this ring. They've also discovered this ring. This will be a bit troublesome. Qin Yu pretends to be as indifferent as he was at the beginning. Even if he had the sword immortal puppet, if he took it out and used it now, it would probably cause all the emissaries to join forces against him. Moreover, Qin Yu had also felt the fluctuations from Hua Yan's battle on the Blue Clouds Road just now. That great power had simply reached a shocking level. In Qin Yu's heart, a level 9 golden immortal puppet should also be at that level. That was the power of Hua Yan's trump card. Meanwhile, Man Gone, Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun and the others also had their own trump cards. Their power was estimated to not be much weaker. It was not suitable for him to take out his sword Immortal Puppet now. Only by taking the enemy by surprise and using the sword Immortal Puppet at the most crucial moment would the effects be the best. Qin Yu, what happened to you? Man Qian saw that Qin Yu seemed to be a little off and walked over. Qin Yu's heart skipped a beat. Oh, it's nothing, Qin Yu said with a smile. It's just that, after seeing so many people die on the Blue Clouds Road, I'm a little worried about whether I'll be able to make it through the Blue Clouds Road alive. When Man Gon heard Qin Yu's words, he also felt relieved. Even the elders of the dragon tribe and a large group of experts had failed and their souls had scattered. It was normal for Qin Yu, who was only at the Dashang stage, to feel uneasy. Brother Qin Yu. Man Gon patted Qin Yu on the shoulder and comforted him. This Blue Clouds Road is indeed very dangerous. I see that you've already reached the Dashang stage. Why don't you immediately stay here and wait until it's time for you to ascend? When that time comes, you can directly ascend. Man Gon also had good intentions. He also did not have much confidence in Qin Yu making it through the Blue Clouds Road. I will consider it. Qin Yu nodded and said. However, at that moment, Qin Yu was actually worried in his heart. That was because Qin Yu was currently standing at a corner of the White Jade Plaza, while Man Gon was standing right beside him. If Man Gon walked to that special spot and looked in the direction of the White Jade sculpture, it was very likely that he would discover the White Jade sculpture's ring. Go. Why aren't you leaving after saying that? Qin Yu urged in his heart. Sigh, brother Qin Yu. I really can't understand why that elder from your sect allowed you to enter an Ayang's realm. Isn't using this to test you to send you to your death? Man Gon also had nothing to do at that moment, and instead started chatting with Qin Yu. Qin Yu calmly took a step forward and occupied that special spot where he could see the ring. Then he started to deal with Man Gon. Meanwhile, at that moment, the Dragon Tribe's clan leader, Feng Tian, had also stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. Brother Man Gon, there are currently two super experts from the Dragon Tribe. One is Feng Tian, and the other is Ao Feng. Who do you think is stronger? Qin Yu casually asked a question. Qin Yu had also pondered about that question before. Man Gon was stunned. I think it should be Feng Tian. Feng Tian. Qin Yu asked doubtfully. Isn't that Ao Feng the Dragon Tribe's emissary from the higher realm? Why is he instead unable to catch up to Feng Tian? Man Gon said with certainty. Is there even a need to ask? That Ao Feng is merely a level 1 demon king. Although Feng Tian is only a level lower than him, due to the bloodline of the super divine beast, the 5-clawed golden dragon, his own abilities are definitely not weaker than Ao Feng's. At the same time, Feng Tian is a 5-clawed golden dragon. His potential and position in the eyes of the dragon tribe from the higher realm are much more important than Ao Feng's. I think the most powerful trump card that the dragon tribe had Ao Feng bring down is most likely already in Feng Tian's hands. I see. Qin Yu nodded and replied. Those who had not entered the demon realm would definitely not be able to imagine just how high the position of a super divine beast was in the demon realm. That was basically the most important thing in the demon realm. That was also the reason why Du Zhongjun and the others were shocked when they saw Man Gon descending to the lower realm. Feng Tian passed. Man Gon was greatly shocked when he saw the news from the transmission talisman. Qin Yu was also shocked. That was the time it took to brew a cup of tea, which was even shorter than the time it took for Yu Liang to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. It's my turn this time, right? Du Zhongjun spoke. It is Brother Du's turn. Brother Du, please, Ao Feng said with a smile. Du Zhongjun was actually very sullen. According to the rules, it should be the loose immortal side, the loose devil side, the dragon tribe, the prehistoric demon race, and the chaotic astral ocean's 5 sides. Hua Yan was the first to act, and the second should be him. However, the dragon tribe side had 2 experts. That was why everyone had agreed to let Ao Feng bring up the rear, and as compensation, let Feng Tian be the second to set off. It was also because of the oath that he had made at that time that he was not worried about anyone snatching the treasure in advance, that Du Zhongjun had also agreed. It was just that Du Zhongjun was still somewhat sullen in his heart. Once he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road, Du Zhongjun also set off with his fastest speed. Brother Qin Yu, this Blue Clouds Road is merely the second checkpoint. Only one person will be able to obtain the final treasure. That is why there will still be an even more dangerous obstacle in the final 9 heavens, Man Gong said to Qin Yu with a smile. Qin Yu's face showed slight worry. Haha, alright. You should also stop thinking about that obstacle. It is practically impossible for you to pass through this Blue Clouds Road, Man Gong said jokingly. Qin Yu's face showed a trace of worry in a timely manner. Alright, I'm just joking. Brother Qin Yu, although you are only at the Deshang stage in terms of real attack power, I'm afraid that even the average heavenly immortals of level 2 and level 3 cannot compare to you. In addition to that highest grade immortal sword that Zhongju gave you, even heavenly immortals of level 5 and 6 would not dare to underestimate you. Your foundation is very solid, and your future achievements are limitless, Man Gong praised. Qin Yu only smiled modestly. Qin Yu did not know that at that moment, Man Gong was currently conversing with Ao Feng through a transmission talisman. Man Gong, Feng Tian has already successfully reached the 9 heavens. It is also not a difficult matter for me to enter. When that time comes, Feng Tian and I will join hands. I want to see how you will fight against us. Feng Tian is indeed slightly weaker than you. However, with the treasure that the Dragon Emperor gave him, you may not be able to defeat him, Ao Feng transmitted. Don't be complacent. There are 2 of you, but there is only 1 scroll. Even if you obtain the scroll, how will you distribute it? In terms of sharpness, Man Gong was not as good as Ao Feng. Moreover, Man Gong's patience was also not as good as Ao Feng's. Ao Feng could still smile while being insulted by others, but Man Gong would instead go mad with rage. Humph. Man Gong glanced at Ao Feng in the distance, and that glance contained a trace of viciousness. Oh, this Man Gong seems to be a little off with Ao Feng. Qin Yu noticed that glance. Meanwhile, at that moment, Du Zhongjun has also passed through the Blue Clouds Road. Ao Feng, Man Gong, and Zhongju received the news almost at the same time. Compared to that time with Hua Yan, when Feng Tian and Du Zhongjun passed through the Blue Clouds Road, there was not much of a commotion. It was obvious that they did not encounter any danger like Hua Yan. Brother Qin Yu, take care. If you are not confident, then do not attempt it. Since you have already reached the Deshang stage, it is safer to wait here until you ascend. When Man Gong left, he even gave a word of advice, and immediately walked towards the Blue Clouds Road with large strides. That was because it was now Man Gong's turn to enter the Blue Clouds Road. Zhongju, Ao Feng, I will take my leave first, haha. Man Gong was not worried in the slightest, and just like that, he stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. After entering the Blue Clouds Road for a short while, Brother Ao Feng, Brother Man Gong has already arrived. I'm also about to set off, Zhongju said with a smile, and immediately nodded towards Qin Yu, who was not far away, and immediately stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road. When Qin Yu saw how relaxed the 6 great leaders were, his heart was incomparably moved. Reverend Ming Shan and the others, those who entered, died. So many died, and only Yu Liang was lucky enough to succeed. And what about the 6 great leaders? Unless the unlucky Hua Yan, who had a very high difficulty passing because of Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's special care. However, he still passed in the end. Meanwhile, the others were very relaxed, and almost everyone passed through the Blue Clouds Road within the time it took to brew a cup of tea. In just a short moment, little brother Qin Yu, I am also about to set off. When I reach that side, I will send a message to inform you. Ao Feng greeted Qin Yu, and it was obvious that Zhongju had already successfully reached Ni Yang's realm. In terms of speed of passing, Zhongju seemed to be the fastest. Qin Yu smiled as he watched Ao Feng step onto the Blue Clouds Road. Only then did he let out a long sigh of relief. Ah! Qin Yu let out a long sigh of relief, and the smile on his face became brilliant. This is really torturous. Just now I was worried that everyone who stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road would notice the white jade sculpture, worried that someone would carefully observe the white jade sculpture. Luckily, everyone's thoughts were on the opposite side of the 9 heavens. Qin Yu walked to the side of the white jade sculpture with ease, then reached into his long sleeve and removed the white jade ring on his right hand. There shouldn't be that secret technique, right? Qin Yu's heart suddenly jumped, and then he laughed at himself. Too sensitive. Immortal Emperor and Aiyang had already said that other than the scattered treasures cliff at the beginning, there were no other treasures. Moreover, it was hidden so well, adding that secret technique to it would be too much. Qin Yu immediately dripped a drop of blood onto the white jade ring. The white jade ring directly absorbed that drop of blood, and Qin Yu put the ring on his finger. However, the moment he put it on, the original Lord of Black Flames ring actually automatically appeared, emitting rays of black light. And this white ring similarly emitted white light, and the two completely opposite lights actually started to intertwine. What's this? Qin Yu's heart jumped. These 2 rings, I have already dripped my blood to recognize them as the owner. This strange change shouldn't cause much harm to me, but the gravity domain and the heavenly fire domain must not be destroyed. Qin Yu still liked the 2 domains of the Lord of Black Flames ring very much. In the time of 10 breaths, the 2 rays of light completely merged, and at the same time, a ring was put on Qin Yu's finger. This ring appeared to be surrounded by black and white. Similar to Tai Chi at the same time, a figure actually appeared in Qin Yu's mind. A proud and indistinct figure. This figure was extremely similar to the white jade sculpture, but no matter how carefully Qin Yu observed, he was unable to clearly see what the figure looked like. Lucky kid, you are already lucky enough to be able to obtain the Lord of Black Flames ring in the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. To be able to obtain the Lord of White Profound's ring in Aiyang's realm is also extremely rare. You have obtained both rings, even I am envious of your luck. That indifferent voice contained a trace of disappointment. Qin Yu understood in his heart that this should be Immortal Emperor and Aiyang. The Lord of Black Flame's ring and the Lord of White Profound's ring were made by the Lord of Black Flame and the Lord of White Profound respectively, and are also their gifts to me. When the 2 are combined, it is a top-grade immortal equipment, Blazing Profound Ring. The Lord of Black Flame's ring has the Heavenly Fire domain and Gravity domain. The Lord of White Profound's ring has the Jade Smoke domain and Gravity domain. When the 2 are combined, there are 3 domains: Heavenly Fire domain, Jade Smoke domain, and Dual Gravity domain. Immortal Emperor and Aiyang explained. When the Blazing Profound ring uses the Heavenly Fire domain and Jade Smoke domain at the same time, its power is extremely great. And the Dual Force domain is equivalent to the Gravity domain that you can originally use, its power doubled. Of course, these are all secondary. Immortal Emperor and Aiyang's words made Qin Yu's heart move. If the power of the Blazing Profound ring was secondary, then what was the most important thing? Lucky kid, if you are an emissary of the immortal devil and demon realm, you should know the significance of the Blazing Profound ring. If you are from the mortal realm, you probably wouldn't know. The Blazing Profound ring. I can only tell you, before you reach the profound immortal realm, it's best not to let others know that you have the Blazing Profound ring. Qin Yu understood a little. This Blazing Profound ring seemed to be a very extraordinary treasure. Qin Yu understood the crime of possessing a treasure. Your luck is really good. If I had even a fraction of your luck, I wouldn't have fallen to this point. Destiny makes fools of people. Destiny makes fools of people. That voice was a little disappointed, and then the figure in his mind disappeared. Luck again. Why is this immortal emperor and Aiyang so unlucky? Qin Yu was puzzled. Qin Yu flipped his hand and took out a transmission talisman. Qin Yu, I have reached the 9th heavenly layer, you can go now. Ao Feng's transmission had already arrived. Chapter 297. Blue Clouds Road. No hurry. Qin Yu wasn't in a hurry to step onto the Blue Clouds Road. Yang's realm was filled with danger. No matter what, he had to at least understand the power of his weapons. As for this blazing profound ring, he naturally had to understand it. Heavenly Fire Domain, Jade Smoke Domain, Dual Force Domain. Let's see the effect. Qin Yu's heart moved. He first used the Heavenly Fire Domain. Qin Yu's surroundings were immediately filled with heavenly fire. The area of heavenly fire was relatively large. With Qin Yu as the center, the area of 50 meters was filled with heavenly fire. Compared to the original Lord of Black Flame's ring, its power didn't change much. Qin Yu judged in his heart. Immediately, Qin Yu withdrew the Heavenly Fire Domain. At the same time, he activated the Jade Smoke Domain. Fire. There were Heavenly Fire and Blue Heavenly Fire. And this cold air was also divided into Jade Smoke Cold Air and Weeping Gold Cold Air. Jade Smoke Cold Air and Heavenly Fire were comparable in power. It was just that one was extremely hot and the other was extremely cold. Qin Yu's surroundings were instantly filled with jade color. The area was so wide that it was almost the same as the Heavenly Fire Domain. I remember Immortal Emperor Yang once said that the combination of the Heavenly Fire Domain and Jade Smoke Domain would have an extremely powerful power. Qin Yu pondered for a moment. He immediately understood the principle. Extreme heat and extreme cold. The two extremes instantly changed. Even an ordinary low-grade immortal sword would instantly shatter. The rapid change of extreme heat and extreme cold would definitely be stronger than just the Heavenly Fire Domain and Jade Smoke Domain. Qin Yu closed his eyes. Numerous methods of using the Heavenly Fire Domain and Jade Smoke Domain appeared in his mind. Qin Yu's surroundings were instantly filled with boundless heavenly fire. But in the blink of an eye, the heavenly fire completely disappeared. The boundless jade smoke cold air covered the original area. The extreme cold and extreme heat caused the air to vibrate violently. After a while, the boundless jade smoke cold air and the boundless purple heavenly fire actually appeared at the same time. But if one looked carefully, one would realize that there was an extremely small distance between each jade smoke cold air and the purple heavenly fire. Of course, the jade smoke cold air and the purple heavenly fire couldn't touch. Once they touched, they would probably attack each other and waste of energy. My control is still not enough. Just now, the jade smoke cold air and the heavenly flame have already clashed more than 10 times. Qin Yu opened his eyes. Clearly, he was not satisfied with the control he had displayed earlier. However, Qin Yu was more satisfied with the combination of the jade smoke cold air and the purple heavenly fire. I'm quite familiar with the Jade Smoke Domain and the Heavenly Fire Domain. The power of this dual gravity domain should have doubled, right? Qin Yu controlled the blazing profound ring in his mind. Instantly, the gravity domain covered the area. However, as the controller of the double gravity domain, Qin Yu could not feel the double gravity domain at all. But when Qin Yu sensed the strange energy of the dual gravity domain, he had a feeling that the strange energy of the dual gravity domain was indeed much stronger than before. I can understand the heavenly flame domain and the jade smoke domain. However, I do not know how this dual gravity domain was created. This formation array is truly extremely profound. As the master, Qin Yu could barely sense the energy of the dual gravity domain. But this kind of energy was too strange. Controlling gravity. It was indeed very special. Huff, everything is ready. I'm going to try this Blue Clouds Road and see exactly what sort of extraordinary place this Blue Clouds Road has. Qin Yu took a deep breath and then stepped onto the Blue Clouds Road with a smile. The boundless Blue Clouds Road led directly to the 9 heavens. Under the cover of the endless blue clouds, Qin Yu's figure disappeared into the Blue Clouds Road. Times the Blue Clouds Road was actually a jade bridge that was similar to blue jade. Qin Yu walked on this bridge and clearly felt an extremely strong pressure covering his body. Clearly his speed was restricted. The pressure is not that great. Right now, my speed is probably only about half of what it used to be. Qin Yu made a judgment in his heart. Qin Yu's figure was graceful as he continued to advance towards the 9 heavens. Brat, stop. A deep voice sounded, and Qin Yu's entire person was shocked. There's actually someone. A tall and sturdy large man appeared in front of Qin Yu. There was a trace of disdain on his face, and he secretly said in his heart, I never thought that even a small character who had just reached the Deshang stage would be able to enter an Yang's realm, and make me suppress my power to the Deshang stage to fight with you. That's really unpleasant. If I wasn't limited by my oath to an Yang, I really wouldn't want to fight. Fighting with a little fellow who hasn't even reached the heavenly immortal stage, if my old brothers were to find out, it would really be embarrassing. When Qin Yu saw that large man standing in front of him, his figure flashed and wanted to go around him. However, that large man also moved and continued to block in front of Qin Yu. Who are you? Why are you obstructing me? Qin Yu asked in a reproachful manner. At the same time, Qin Yu also carefully observed that large man in front of him. The tall and sturdy large man's eyebrows were extremely thick and black, and his eyes were also bright and full of expression. The domineering aura that naturally emitted from his body made Qin Yu's heart tremble. This fellow's power is definitely stronger than Man Gone. Just the aura that was emitted was enough to make Qin Yu's mind tremble. How could Qin Yu not be surprised? So much so that Qin Yu believed that even if he used the sword Immortal Puppet, he might not necessarily be able to win. The tall and sturdy large man smiled faintly and said, You don't need to care too much about who I am. At least you still don't have the qualifications to know right now. You only need to remember. If you want to pass through this Blue Clouds Road, you must defeat me. Of course. Even if you don't defeat me, as long as you pass through the Blue Clouds Road, I will also automatically stop. Qin Yu nodded and immediately smiled faintly and said, This one knows his own limits. If I were to fight with Senior, I reckon that there would be no hope at all. For the time being, Qin Yu still did not want to take out the sword Immortal Puppet. Don't worry, brat. My power will only be suppressed to the Deshang stage. Although my power will be suppressed to the Deshang stage, my experience, moves, and so on are not something you can imagine. The tall and sturdy large man said confidently. Qin Yu muttered to himself for a moment and asked, Those few people just now all successfully passed through the Blue Clouds Road. In my opinion, those few people should not be as good as Senior. Could it be that Senior's experience and moves are not as good as theirs? When the tall and sturdy large man heard this, he frowned. Although those few people's strength is not bad, how could they be my match? It's just that when dealing with those few fellows, my power will be suppressed to the same level as theirs, which is about the level of a first-level Demon King. With the strength of a first-level Demon King, wanting to break through their top-grade demon armor is indeed a bit difficult. The tall and sturdy large man said helplessly. Qin Yu understood in his heart. As it turned out, Du Zhongjun, Feng Tian, and the others all relied on the defense of their top-grade immortal armor, demon armor, to pass through. When those few fellows saw me, they all used words to mock me. They knew that I would suppress my power to the same level as theirs, so they all relied on their armor to quickly escape. No matter how much I tried to stop them, they still managed to escape. The tall and sturdy large man was a bit angry. If not for the oath, I would have already smashed their armor to pieces with one punch. How could I allow them to be so arrogant? Qin Yu was shocked. Smashing a top-grade immortal armor with one punch. What kind of level was that? Of course, this also depended on who was wearing the top-grade immortal armor. When Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, and the others wore the top-grade immortal armor, their immortal elemental energy, demonic elemental energy, ran through it. Of course, their defensive power could not compare to that of a mystic immortal, Devil Emperor, wearing a top-grade immortal armor. Alright, don't waste time. I will suppress my power to the Deshang stage. However, let me tell you, my defense cannot be weakened. My skin is naturally thick, there is no way. The tall and sturdy large man had a helpless look. Qin Yu laughed bitterly in his heart. A person who dared to say that he could smash a top-grade immortal armor with one punch. How strong would his defense be? It was easy to guess. He reckoned that even his top-grade immortal sword would not be able to harm him. Get ready, I am about to make my move. The tall and sturdy large man grinned, then threw a very simple punch towards Qin Yu. This punch smashed towards Qin Yu in a straight line. However, for some unknown reason, Qin Yu felt that the space around him had been locked down. It was very difficult for him to move even if he wanted to. This simple punch seemed to be impossible to dodge. Although his power was suppressed to the Deshang stage, the tall and sturdy large man's experience and understanding of the heavenly Tao far surpassed Qin Yu. The tall and sturdy large man sighed in his heart. After all, his opponent was too weak. However, the tall and sturdy large man only felt a sudden gravitational force attached to his entire body. The delicate balance he had just formed was also broken. Qin Yu's figure flashed and dodged the punch. No matter how wonderful your moves are, the more exquisite your moves are, the more likely it is that a slight mistake will result in a huge difference in power. Under the sudden appearance of the gravitational field, how can you maintain the exquisiteness of your moves? Qin Yu felt relaxed in his heart. A simple, double gravitational field easily broke this move. Haha, as expected of someone who can enter Ni Yang's realm. Even a Deshang stage little guy cannot be underestimated. Controlling gravity, you brat must have obtained the blazing profound ring. The tall and sturdy large man said with a smile. Qin Yu was stunned. Blazing profound ring. This large man in front of him actually revealed his secret in an instant. However, after a while, Qin Yu felt relieved. Since this tall and sturdy large man became the gatekeeper of Ni Yang's realm, he definitely had some relationship with immortal Emperor Ni Yang. It was not strange for him to know about the blazing profound ring. The blazing profound ring. When I asked Ni Yang to play with it, he was unwilling. After he died, he instead scattered all these treasures. The tall and sturdy large man muttered, "All right, continue fighting. As long as you do not step out of the Blue Clouds Road, the battle will not end." If he did not step out of the Blue Clouds Road, the battle would not end. When Qin Yu heard this, he immediately hurried on his way. "Senior, you must remember that your power must be suppressed to the Deshang stage." While escaping for his life, Qin Yu still shouted loudly. The tall and sturdy large man's face turned bitter. He could only shake his body and continuously chase after him. Originally, with his power, he could catch up to Qin Yu with just a move of his feet. However, he was limited to only using the power of the Deshang stage, so his speed was naturally limited. No matter how exquisite the tall and sturdy large man's movement technique was, he could barely catch up to Qin Yu. However, when he got close to Qin Yu, the double gravitational field would also greatly reduce the tall and sturdy large man's speed. It's really easy to escape like this. Qin Yu felt relaxed in his heart. Now, the double gravitational field had already reached an astonishing level. Once the tall and sturdy large man entered this field, it was as if his body was being pressed down by a mountain. If the tall and sturdy large man used all his power, this bit of gravity would be nothing. However, he had to keep his oath and could only use the same amount of power. With the power of the Deshang stage, if he wanted to catch up to Qin Yu after resisting such gravity, it would be a dream. After all, Qin Yu was an expert in speed. At this moment, Qin Yu somewhat understood the difficulty of the Blue Clouds Road. Every person who entered the Blue Clouds Road would face this tall and sturdy large man as their enemy. This tall and sturdy large man must limit his power to the level of the challenger's power. However, they would fight with each other. Unless they passed through the Blue Clouds Road, the battle would not end. With the tall and sturdy large man's experience and moves, even if their power was equal, Reverend Ming Shan, even the Dragon Clan's elder Yen Shan, Kong Chao, and the others had all died. Later on, Yu Liang had most likely transformed into a heavenly rat and escaped with his life by relying on his speed and agility. Moreover, as a high-level divine beast, the battle power that the heavenly rat could display was also extremely strong. As for the 6 great experts that came later, they all had top-grade immortal equipment battle armors to protect themselves. Moreover, each one of them was originally an elite figure. Successfully passing through was not a problem. If I think it's so easy to pass through, I would really lose too much face. The tall and sturdy large man's fist flashed and a golden glove unexpectedly appeared on his fist. Although the power is limited to the Deshang stage, there is no restriction on the weapon. The tall and sturdy large man talked to himself and then slowly punched forward 3 times in succession. Although it looked slow, in fact, in the blink of an eye, 3 visible golden fist shadows enveloped Qin Yu's entire body. Those 3 golden fist shadows had yet to touch Qin Yu's body, but Qin Yu could already feel the thick pressure. This tall and sturdy large man, why is he trying so hard? Qin Yu felt sullen in his heart. At the same time, Qin Yu clenched his teeth. He simply did not care about the fist shadows and rushed towards the end of the Blue Clouds Road at an even faster speed. Suicide! The tall and sturdy large man was slightly stunned. Of course, he himself knew the power of his move. Moreover, he also knew that the opponent was a Deshang stage expert. To a Deshang stage expert, the body was still extremely important. Once the body was damaged, it was estimated that he could only cultivate as a loose cultivator. Qin Yu's body flashed continuously. At the same time, the 3 golden fist shadows bombarded Qin Yu's body one after another. What a tough body. The body of a Deshang stage expert is actually so tough. What the hell? What kind of cultivation technique is this? The tall and sturdy large man finally witnessed the toughness of Qin Yu's body. The 3 fist shadows that he sent out with his weapon actually only injured a part of Qin Yu's body. He could imagine the toughness of Qin Yu's body. However, the next scene made the tall and sturdy large man dumbfounded. Qin Yu's injuries were actually completely healed in the blink of an eye. "Senior, thank you for showing mercy." Qin Yu's voice sounded and he had already rushed out of the Blue Clouds Road. Relying on his amazing recovery ability, Qin Yu actually used his body to withstand the 3 fist shadows. Although the attack was extremely powerful, it was limited to the tall and sturdy large man only using the strength of a Deshang stage expert. The attack power was limited. Qin Yu still dared to resist. Showing mercy. The tall and sturdy large man's expression stiffened. Soon after, he laughed. This kid to be able to obtain the Lord of Black Flame's ring and the Lord of White Profound's ring. His luck is really not bad. Back then, Yang even asked me to show mercy to the people who obtained the Ring of Blazing Profound when I met them. However, this time I didn't show mercy. The tall and sturdy large man let out a long sigh. There's no one at the Blue Clouds Road. My mission is also completed. How many years has it been? It's also time for those old brothers of ours to be liberated. The tall and sturdy large man's figure moved and actually disappeared into thin air. Teleportation. Wasn't teleportation impossible in Yang's realm? However, no one saw this scene, so naturally no one would have such a question. Chapter 298. After Ao Feng had narrowly passed through the Blue Clouds Road, he had sent a message to Qin Yu, and had immediately gathered with the other 6 people. That was because the 6 great heads had only said that they would depart once the 6 of them had gathered. That was why they did not wait for Qin Yu. This group of people was the Devil Realm's emissary Du Zhongjun, Immortal Realm's emissary Hua Yan, Dragon Clan's emissary Ao Feng, Demon Realm's emissary Man Gon, as well as Feng Tian, Zhongju and Yu Liang. Once the 7 of them had gathered, they immediately set off. 9 heavens so high. Yu Liang looked at the beautiful scenery in front of him, and could not help but sigh. The 9 heavens was the core of Yang's realm. The 9 heavens was a 9-floored palace that was suspended in the sky. The surroundings of this magnificent palace were filled with endless clouds, as well as ponds, artificial mountains, flowers and so on. It was definitely considered a wonderland of immortals. After exiting the Blue Clouds Road, they advanced forward, and stepped onto a golden avenue. On both sides of the golden avenue were various kinds of beautiful scenery. However, the 7 people walking together did not have the mind to pay attention to this beautiful scenery. Almost everyone could not help but quicken their pace towards that 9-floored palace. However, due to the presence of others, no one dared to take the lead and directly rush over. Brother Ao Feng, do not be anxious. Seeing that Ao Feng's pace seemed to be increasing, Man Gon spoke out. Hearing Man Gon's voice, Ao Feng once again suppressed his speed. Brother Man Gon, do not be anxious. If we want to obtain the treasure, we will fight for it together. Ao Feng also spoke out. It was very obvious that Man Gon and Ao Feng were opposing each other. Hua Yen, Du Zhongjun and the others were happy to see that scene. Man Gon and the Dragon Clan side were the strongest. If they were to fight, it would instead be beneficial to Hua Yen, Du Zhongjun, Zhongju and the others. However, they did not know that the reason why Ao Feng and Man Gon were opposing each other was because of a scroll. Among the 7 people present, only Ao Feng and Man Gon had guessed that within the 9 heavens, other than the treasure that the various great heads of the immortal, devil and demon realm were vainly trying to obtain, there was another treasure that was not much different in terms of value. Gradually, the group of 7 people were only a few hundred meters away from that 9-floored palace. 9 heavens. Like lightning, Man Gon and Ao Feng practically rushed towards the 9 heavens one after the other, without caring about anything else. What are the 2 of them doing? Hua Yen, Du Zhongjun and the others were startled. From the way they saw it, the treasure that the big shots of the immortal devil and demon realm were vainly trying to obtain would definitely not be that easy to obtain. At the very least, there would be obstacles. That was why they were not in a hurry. However, why would Man Gon and Ao Feng be like that? Just as the 2 figures were about to pass through the gate of the 9 heavens main hall, suddenly, boom! It was as if they had crashed into an invisible wall. There was a wave of transparent fluctuation at the entrance of the 9th heaven. Both Man Gon and Ao Feng were violently shaken and fell to the side. At the same time, blood splashed out. Seriously injured. Both Man Gon and Ao Feng crawled up at once. The 2 of them stared at the center of the main hall, and their eyes were as crazy as wild wolves that had been starved to the extreme. Because at this moment, a golden scroll was suspended high in the hall of the 1st floor of the 9th heaven. That golden scroll was suspended in the air, emitting specks of golden light. Brother Man Qian, Brother Ao Feng, why are you fighting so hard? Look, all of you are covered in blood. Hua Yen said with a concerned tone. Meanwhile, Du Zhongjun suddenly stared at the side of the entrance of the main hall. After a short while, Du Zhongjun rushed into the main hall as if he had gone mad. With a loud bang, Du Zhongjun retreated with blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. Hua Yen was startled. Could it be that Du Zhongjun did not see that Man Gon and Ao Feng had suffered a great loss? And he was still so reckless. Ao Feng, what is the Atlas of 10,000 beasts? Feng Tian asked Ao Feng. Atlas of 10,000 beasts. Ao Feng was stunned. How do you know about the Atlas of 10,000 beasts? Feng Tian used his finger to point to the side of the main hall's entrance. There was a stone tablet erected there, and there were a few lines of words on the stone tablet. That Hua Yen also could not help but look towards that stone tablet. Successfully passing through the Blue Clouds Road means that you have a solid foundation, and can be considered as elite figures among experts of the same level. Passing through the Blue Clouds Road, naturally, there must be some rewards. That year I and I Yang had roamed the immortal devil and demon realms unhindered. The Atlas of 10,000 beasts is the reward for this stage. Seeing that sentence, Hua Yen felt his throat dry up, and could not help but swallow a few times. At the same time, Hua Yen also discovered the golden scroll suspended in the 1st floor of the 9th heaven's main hall. Those specks of golden light emitted even more made Hua Yan's heart tremble. It really is the Atlas of 10,000 beasts. There is actually the Atlas of 10,000 beasts. Heavens! Hua Yan's entire person slightly trembled, and then Hua Yan simply ignored everything and grabbed the sword hilt on his back with his right hand. Low shout. Pulling out the sword, thrusting sword. A golden sword energy completely enveloped Hua Yan. At that moment, Hua Yan's entire person was like a huge golden sword, and the tip of that huge golden sword was that immortal sword of Hua Yan's. Soon after, the huge golden sword ruthlessly pierced towards the main hall's entrance, piercing through the air. That huge golden sword with an astonishing penetrative power stabbed onto the main hall's entrance. Pang! The huge golden sword collapsed. Meanwhile, Hua Yan's entire person seemed to have been paralyzed by electricity, and was thrown to the side. He even vomited blood onto the ground. Another serious injury. Didn't you see that Man Gone and the others were injured just now, and still went to find trouble? Zhongju secretly laughed in his heart. However, Zhongju did not know the meaning of the Atlas of 10,000 beasts. For the Atlas of 10,000 beasts, even if they knew that this hall's entrance was strange, they would not give up no matter what if they did not try. Even if their injuries were more serious, for the Atlas of 10,000 beasts, it was worth it. At that moment, the 4 great emissaries were all seriously injured. Ha ha! What a good Man Gone, what a good Aofeng. Hua Yan sneered as he looked at the two of them. Did you two already guess that the Atlas of 10,000 beasts was here? No wonder the two of you were so strange all the way here, and even rushed so desperately into the great hall just now. Man Gone and Aofeng both sneered. Who can you blame if you don't have a brain? Aofeng said sarcastically. Du Zhongjun also interrupted. What a pity, what a pity. This Atlas of 10,000 beasts is so precious, and is not something that can be obtained just because you want to. It is a pity that you two have worked so hard, and in the end, it is still hard to say who will obtain this Atlas of 10,000 beasts. The 4 great emissaries, each had their final trump card. However, Hua Yan's trump card had already been used when he passed through the Blue Clouds Road. Because when Immortal Emperor Niyang died, he had told that tall and sturdy man that the difficulty of encountering an emissary from the immortal realm would increase. The power that the tall and sturdy man used had also increased by a lot. This forced Hua Yan to use that trump card in order to save his life. However, Hua Yan still had the 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talisman, and other unique skills on him. As long as I obtain the Atlas of 10,000 beasts, not only will my strength increase greatly, moreover, I also have the confidence to obtain that final treasure. Hua Yan's heart was completely burning. The Atlas of 10,000 beasts. If it was in the immortal devil and demon realms, just the Atlas of 10,000 beasts would definitely trigger a terrifying battle for it. What kind of treasure is the Atlas of 10,000 beasts? Feng Tian and the rest were puzzled. Currently, Zhongju, Feng Tian and Yu Liang did not know what kind of treasure this Atlas of 10,000 beasts was, to actually make the 4 great emissaries so crazy. O Feng, what is this Atlas of 10,000 beasts? Feng Tian walked to Aofeng's side and asked. After all, Feng Tian was a super divine beast, 5-clawed golden dragon. When Feng Tian asked, Aofeng did not dare to hide anything. Moreover, if he wanted to rely on himself to obtain the Atlas of 10,000 beasts from the hands of so many experts, it would still be very difficult. Feng Tian, this Atlas of 10,000 beasts is a low-grade divine equipment. Aofeng's first sentence gave Feng Tian and the rest a shock. Divine equipment. Even the worst divine equipment was much more powerful than a top-grade immortal equipment. Immediately, Feng Tian, Zhongju, Yu Liang and the rest's breathing became rough. In the immortal devil and demon realms, it is still possible to create immortal equipment but divine equipment. Until now, no one in the immortal devil and demon realms has been able to create it. In the immortal devil and demon realms, the number of divine equipment is frighteningly low. Aofeng continued. Although this Atlas of 10,000 Beasts is only a low-grade divine equipment, it is more precious than the average mid-grade divine equipment. Divine equipment and immortal equipment are the same. They are divided into offensive, defensive, spatial storage and some special ones. Although the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts is only a low-grade divine equipment, it is an extremely special divine equipment. Even in the immortal, devil and demon realms, it is a top-grade treasure. Even experts like Emperor Yu would be tempted by it. Ao Feng said with absolute certainty. At this time, Feng Tian and the rest completely understood the preciousness of the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts. The Atlas of 10,000 Beasts is not a simple offensive or defensive divine equipment. It belongs to the special category, and it is extremely difficult to create. But if it is successfully created, its power is also very formidable. What is the effect of this Atlas of 10,000 Beasts? Feng Tian asked. Ao Feng laughed. What effect? I can tell you this, if I obtain the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts, even if the rest of the people here join forces, they would still not be my opponent. Even if they use their trump cards. So strong. Feng Tian was shocked. Even if a level 8 or 9 golden immortal comes, as long as I have the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts, I would still dare to fight with him and even kill him. You tell me if I am strong or not. Ao Feng laughed lightly. The weaker the person, the greater the benefits of the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts. Feng Tian, Zhongju and Yu Liang were completely tempted. Ao Feng also did not care. What he said, the other 3 emissaries would definitely know, and fight for the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts. Zhongju and Yu Liang were not a threat at all. Although Yu Liang's strength was not bad, but compared to the other emissaries who had their trump cards, there was still a big gap. Man Gong and the rest of the 7 stood outside the palace hall, their brows deeply furrowed. What is going on? We have been here for a while. The invisible restriction of the palace door is still there. If this goes on, when can we enter the 9 Heavens Palace? Du Zhongjun said angrily. The others were also a little anxious. Why didn't Immortal Emperor Nayang give us a hint? Now let us stand outside the palace door. We can see the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts but can't get it. Man Gong was also a little helpless. However, the invisible restriction of the palace door had always been there, and the 7 of them were completely unable to enter the palace hall. Breaking the walls of the palace hall. That was a dream. The materials used to construct the 9 Heavens Palace were extremely impressive, and had even been refined by Immortal Emperor Nayang. In addition, there were various restrictions attached to it. Every time you attacked, you would be injured. Hey, look! After a while, Yu Liang, who was standing at the side, pointed at the stone tablet. There are also words on the back of the stone tablet. Standing at the side of the palace door, Yu Liang could just see the back of the stone tablet. Almost at the same time, everyone rushed to the back of the stone tablet. To enter the 9 Heavens, you must wait for everyone to go through the test of the Blue Clouds Road. Either die or successfully pass. Only when everyone has gone through the test and gathered at the main door, will the restriction of the palace door automatically disappear. Everyone understood what was going on when they saw the sentence behind it. So, everyone had to gather for the restriction of the palace door to disappear. Actually, Immortal Emperor Nayang had designed it this way, also to let those people who had barged in be in a fair environment. At the same time, Immortal Emperor Nayang also wanted those people to fight and kill each other. Why has this Qin Yu not entered the Blue Clouds Road? No matter if he died or passed, he should enter the Blue Clouds Road. Du Zhongjun said angrily. Currently, the restriction of the palace door had not been removed. Obviously, Qin Yu had not died or he had not passed through the Blue Clouds Road. Not good. Man Gong's expression changed. Everyone looked at Man Gong. Man Gong sighed and said, I have some friendship with Brother Qin Yu. I know that his abilities are weak, and I also know that he has reached the Dashang stage. I am afraid that he will not be able to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. That is why I persuaded him to let him stay at the White Jade Plaza, all the way until the moment of ascension, and safely fly to the upper realm. Everyone was stunned. If Qin Yu has really been slowly waiting at the White Jade Plaza, waiting for the moment of ascension, could it be that we also have to wait here bitterly? Du Zhongjun's voice was bitter. Man gone, quickly send a message to Qin Yu, and let him quickly step onto the Blue Clouds Road, Hua Yan said. What do you mean? Aren't you asking Qin Yu to seek death? Man gone glared. You also know how powerful that guard is. Qin Yu does not have finest grade battle armor like us, and is also not as fast as Yu Liang. Hua Yan said angrily. Humph, what do you mean by this? That Qin Yu has seen that Yan Shan, Ming Shan and the others have all died, and will definitely not dare to charge through. He will continue to wait peacefully. However, we will have to wait outside the palace door, looking at the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, but unable to enter. Will we continue to suffer like this? No matter what, I will not let him charge through the Blue Clouds Road. I would rather wait for a few decades. Man Gone actually sat down cross-legged. O Feng frowned. If you all will not send a message, then I will send a message to him. Looking at the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, but unable to obtain it. If he suffered like this for a few decades, this sin would really be unbearable. Ao Feng directly sent a message to Qin Yu. However, he sent 3 messages in a row. What happened? Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun and the others looked at Ao Feng. O Feng shook his head and said, I do not know what happened, but this Qin Yu did not respond at all. The palace door's restrictions are still there, so he is definitely not dead. He is not dead, and he is not responding to any messages. Could it be that he is peacefully training in seclusion? Hua Yan guessed. That would be terrible. If he is training in seclusion, he can easily train in seclusion until he ascends. Then what about us? Wait here bitterly for him to ascend. Du Zhongjun became a little anxious. At this time, Du Zhongjun and the others did not care about Qin Yu's life at all, as if Qin Yu dying for them was a matter of course. They had forgotten. They wanted Qin Yu to charge through the Blue Clouds Road. Did Qin Yu have to charge through the Blue Clouds Road? Times, who sent me a message? When I was fighting with that brute earlier, weren't you sending me a message to distract me? At this time, Qin Yu had just walked out of the Blue Clouds Road. With a flip of his hand, he took out a transmission talisman. Within the transmission talisman, there were a few dozen messages. There were messages from Ao Feng, and also from Du Zhongjun, and even from Hua Yan. Chapter 299. Qin Yu carefully read those dozen or so messages, and couldn't help but frown. Urging me to pass through the Blue Clouds Road? What are Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun, and Hua Yan trying to do? Qin Yu pondered for a moment, and became secretly angry. This group of people have all experienced the dangers of the Blue Clouds Road, and I reckon that the chances of me successfully passing through the Blue Clouds Road are not high. But even so, they are still urging me. Aren't they all trying to get me killed? Qin Yu became angry in his heart. Humph, who do they think they are? Also, Du Zhongjun and Hua Yan don't seem to have any relationship with me. They even used a commanding tone to transmit messages to me. This Ao Feng, I used to think that he was a good person, but it seems that he isn't a good person. Looking at those dozen or so messages, Qin Yu became angrier and angrier. He didn't have any connections with Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, Ao Feng, and the others, and wasn't their subordinate. However, those 3 people had continuously transmitted messages to him, ordering him to pass through the Blue Clouds Road. Although their tone became slightly better later on, it still made Qin Yu treat those 3 people as enemies. Taking 2 deep breaths, Qin Yu calmed down. That's not right. They are so anxious for me to pass through the Blue Clouds Road to meet up with them. There must be some special reason. Otherwise, why would they be so concerned about whether or not I pass through the Blue Clouds Road? Qin Yu thought for a moment, then directly followed the golden path and advanced forward. Who cares what you are doing? I originally didn't want to start a massacre, but if you anger me, I don't mind letting Lan Feng make an early appearance. Because of those dozen or so messages, because of that commanding tone, because of the other party's disregard for his life. Qin Yu was finally angry. Times outside the palace doors of the Ninth Heaven Palace, Ao Feng, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun, and the others appeared to be somewhat anxious. Feng Tian also had a helpless expression. Meanwhile, Zhongju, Man Gan, and Yu Liang were sitting cross-legged, quietly waiting. After all, Zhongju and Man Gan were Qin Yu's good friends. Naturally, they didn't want to drag Qin Yu into the fire pit. That Yu Liang listened to Man Qian's orders, and naturally waited with peace of mind. Could it be that we really have to wait for a few decades? Qin Yu. If we had killed him earlier, there wouldn't have been such trouble. Blood Devil Du Zhongjun's eyes flashed with a red light. After entering Enai Yang's realm, they could no longer retreat. After passing through the Blue Clouds Road, one could forget about returning. Otherwise, Du Zhongjun and the others would have already turned back to kill Qin Yu. Hua Yan glanced at the floating atlas of 10,000 beasts in the main hall, and felt that time was passing like a year. Under normal circumstances, a decade or 100 years was nothing to them. But now that the 10,000 beasts atlas was right in front of them, how could they calm down? The wait was even more painful and unbearable. Man Qian, who was sitting cross-legged, was the first to open his eyes, and looked towards the end of the golden passageway that they came from. Man Qian's strength was the strongest, and in addition to the fact that he was waiting calmly earlier, he was instead the first to discover those light footsteps. After a short while, Ao Feng and the others also looked towards the end of the golden passageway. Dressed in a black robe, Qin Yu, who was neither arrogant nor rash, had a faint smile on his face. He was walking in the middle of the golden path. Qin Yu, it's here. When Ao Feng and the other 7 people saw Qin Yu's figure, their facial expressions stiffened. However, almost at the same time, the 7 people suddenly rushed towards the main hall's door. According to the information, once everyone had gone through the test, the restriction on the main hall's door would disappear. Pang! 7 vibrating sounds rang out almost at the same time, and transparent ripples appeared on the main hall's door. The figures of the 7 great experts were sent flying at the same time, as if they were paralyzed. Fresh blood even sprinkled all over the steps outside the main hall's door. Qin Yu looked at that scene blankly. Everyone, you all. What are you doing? Qin Yu's heart was filled with doubts. F***ck. What is going on with this restriction on the main hall's door? Didn't they say that after everyone had gone through the test, the restriction on the main hall's door would automatically disappear? Why is this damned restriction still here? Du Zhongjun was furious to the extreme. Hua Yan, Ao Feng, Man Qian, Feng Tian, Zhongju, Yu Liang and the others were also looking at the main hall's door of the 9 Heavens Palace, and their faces were filled with anger and unwillingness. Qin Yu's heart was filled with doubts. However, with a sweep of his gaze, Qin Yu saw that stone tablet by the side of the main hall's door. On the stone tablet, there were a few lines of words. Successfully passing through the Blue Clouds Road, it can be considered that your foundation is solid, and can be considered as an elite amongst the experts of the same level. Passing through the Blue Clouds Road, naturally, some rewards must also be given. The treasure that Enai Yang used to move unhindered in the immortal devil and demon realms, the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts is the reward for this stage. Atlas of 10,000 Beasts. Qin Yu's heart moved, and at the same time, he also noticed that within the main hall of the 9 heavens, there was a scroll that was suspended in mid-air while shining with golden light. Since the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts has the word Atlas, it is most likely a scroll or picture or something similar. Could it be that it is that scroll? Qin Yu walked towards Man Qian and asked, "Brother Man Qian, what is actually going on? Is it for the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts? What is that Atlas of 10,000 Beasts?" Man Qian glanced at Qin Yu and sighed. "Brother Qin Yu, I did not expect that you would really pass through the Blue Clouds Road. To be honest, you are really bold. However, I must remind you, in the future when you reach the immortal devil and demon realm, It is best not to do things that you are not certain of. This man Qian did not answer the question, and instead entrusted Qin Yu with some matters. What do you mean? Qin Yu asked. The Blue Clouds Road is extremely dangerous. You dared to pass through it, which shows that you are very brave, but you are also a little reckless. Man Qian said seriously. The immortal devil and demon realm has countless experts. No matter the area or the number of dangers, they are all more than 1,000,000,000,000 times more than your planet. There are many things that you simply cannot imagine. If you are as reckless as this time or too bold, you may be able to preserve your life once, and if you are lucky twice, you may still be able to survive. However, what about the third or fourth time? You will not be so lucky every time, right? As long as a problem occurs once, you may lose your little life. That is why, when you reach the immortal devil and demon realm, you must not be too reckless. At the very least, only do things when you have some certainty when encountering dangerous matters. Do you understand? Man Qian entrusted Qin Yu with the tone of a big brother. Qin Yu was a little moved in his heart. He understood that in Man Qian's eyes, he was reckless. From Man Qian's point of view, even Reverend Ming Shan, the Dragon Clan's elder Yan Shan, and other experts had died while passing through the Blue Clouds Road. Qin Yu still dared to pass through this Blue Clouds Road. His courage was really so big that it was a little terrifying. That was basically overestimating his own capabilities. That was why he was worried about Qin Yu's future path. Big brother Man Qian, do not worry. I will not be so reckless in the future. Qin Yu did not reveal the matter of him possessing the sword immortal puppet. That's right, big brother Man Qian. I have yet to ask you about the matter that I asked you just now. Why did all of you not care about your lives just now? Qin Yu asked doubtfully. Man Qian then recalled the question that Qin Yu had asked at the beginning, and immediately smiled bitterly and said, "Oh, you are talking about this, then we will have to talk about the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. Is it that golden scroll that is suspended in the large hall?" Qin Yu guessed. Man Qian nodded and said, "Yes, that is the 10,000 Beasts Atlas." The 10,000 Beasts Atlas was an extremely famous low-grade divine equipment that Immortal Emperor Enai Yang used to move unhindered in the immortal, devil and demon realm. Low-grade divine equipment. Qin Yu's heart skipped a beat. Qin Yu, you must not look down on low-grade divine equipment. You may have seen quite a number of finest-grade immortal equipment in Enai Yang's realm, but that is because this is Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's old nest. If it was in the immortal, devil and demon realm, most of the gold immortals, demon kings and devil kings would only use high-grade immortal equipment. Only the extremely powerful gold immortals or some profound immortals would use finest-grade immortal equipment. Everything that Man Qian said, Qin Yu firmly remembered in his mind. He knew nothing about the immortal, devil and demon realm. Now that he knew some things from Man Qian, it would be very useful for him to come to the immortal, devil and demon realm. Even if it is a finest-grade immortal equipment, demon equipment, devil equipment, the experts of the immortal, devil and demon realm can still make it. However, no matter what, divine equipment cannot be made. Even if it is a low-grade divine equipment, its power is far greater than that of a finest-grade immortal equipment. Among the low-grade divine equipment, the value of offensive divine equipment is lower than defensive divine equipment. The value of defensive divine equipment is lower than spatial divine equipment and special divine equipment. Man Qian looked at the golden scroll in the large hall and said, "And this 10,000 Beasts Atlas belongs to the special divine equipment category. It is extremely precious." Qin Yu completely understood the preciousness of this 10,000 Beasts Atlas. Then what is the power of this 10,000 Beasts Atlas? Qin Yu asked. Just as Qin Yu and Man Qian were talking, Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, Zhongju and the others were all trying to lightly touch the palace door. This palace door's restriction was also strange. The more they used force to attack, the greater the backlash. Lightly touching it was not a problem. They continuously lightly touched it, to see when that palace door's restriction would disappear. Immortal Emperor Nayang, you are too good at fooling people. Du Zhongjun did not have the strength to continue scolding. He only lightly punched it, but Du Zhongjun's fist smashed into the palace. Du Zhongjun was stunned. Seeing this scene, Hua Yan, Zhongju, Ao Feng, Feng Tian and the others were all stunned. Man Qian, who was talking to Qin Yu, was also paying attention to this place. At that moment, his words also stopped abruptly. Boom! The air suddenly vibrated, and the 7 experts rushed into the palace with their fastest speed. Qin Yu stood outside the palace door, admiring the scene in front of him. Hua Yan, Zhongju and the rest of the 7 experts were very strange. When they rushed in from outside the palace door, their speed was so fast that their figures could not be seen. However, once they entered the palace, the 7 experts seemed to be pressed down by a mountain. Their speed was slowed down by who knows how many times. Gravity restriction. In the immortal realm, there were not many people who could use this kind of restriction. However, Immortal Emperor Enai Yang was an expert in this kind of gravity restriction. Of course, this was related to his 2 good friends, Black Flame Lord and White Profound Lord. So heavy! Du Zhongjun gritted his teeth and scolded. However, he still rushed towards the center of the palace. Although the 7 experts' speed was slowed down by who knows how many times, their original speed was too fast. Even if it was slowed down by so much, they were still as fast as the wind. And the palace was originally not big. In just a few seconds, the 7 experts were close to that golden scroll in the center. Zhongju's speed is indeed fast. Looks like he should be the first to get that 10,000 Beasts Atlas. Qin Yu was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he evaluated outside the palace door. Scram! Hua Yan gave a low roar. At the same time, 3 purple-colored talismans appeared in his hand. 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talismans. The 300 Thunder Paralyzing Talismans were surrounded by lightning. At the same time they flew towards 3 people, Zhongju, Man Gon and Du Zhongjun. These were the 3 people at the front. When the 300 Thunder Paralyzing Talismans neared the 3 people, they shattered at the same time. Moreover, streaks of lightning struck towards the 3 people. Zhongju's face was filled with anger. However, he also did not dare to let those 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talismans strike his body. A black long and narrow battle blade suddenly appeared in his hand. It was precisely that weapon that Uncle Lon had left behind for Zhongju. The battle blade that was imbued with powerful demonic elemental energy directly struck towards the streaks of lightning. And how would Man Gon deal with 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talismans? Roar! The purple-colored battle armor on Man Gon's body flashed with light. Following a bull's roar, Man Gon's human head actually began to change. It changed into a huge bull's head. Those purple-colored pupils were incomparably terrifying. At the same time, the light on Man Gon's body became even more dazzling. Man Gon is really strong. He actually directly used his battle armor to resist the 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talismans. Qin Yu praised in his heart. Man Gon's original strength was already strong. In addition, his strength increased after transforming into a half-human form. That was why he dared to use the best quality battle armor to resist the 100 Thunder Paralyzing Talismans. Meanwhile, Man Gon reached out his hand to take that 10,000 Beasts Atlas. Man Gon, don't even think about it. A voice sounded. A spot of blood-red light shot towards Man Gon from Du Zhongjun's hand. At the same time, Du Zhongjun's body was also surrounded by that same blood-red light. Blood guillotine. Man Gon had no choice but to first resist that blood guillotine. Blood guillotine was a type of spiritual fruit in the devil realm. It grew in bloody places, and contained an extremely large amount of blood devil path energy. Firstly, it could be absorbed through cultivation. Secondly, it could be used as an offensive weapon to detonate its energy using a special method. And that Du Zhongjun was currently using the blood guillotine to carry out an attack. Qin Yu was dazzled by what he saw. For this 10,000 Beasts Atlas, each and every one of them are playing for real. The emissaries from the higher realm indeed have many tricks up their sleeves. Qin Yu's eyes shone. The various experts were fighting, but were not allowed to seize that 10,000 beasts atlas. Suddenly, an extremely powerful aura came from Feng Tian's body. A dazzling golden light completely enveloped Zhong Ju. The aura on Feng Tian's body was rising at a terrifying speed. In just a moment, whether it was Zhong Ju, Man Gong and the others, all stopped fighting. Coincidentally, everyone was preparing to join forces to deal with Feng Tian. Feng Tian, don't tell me you dare to go against your Dragon Emperor's order and not fight for that treasure. For this 10,000 beasts atlas, you want to consume the spirit of the true dragon. O Feng at the side angrily rebuked. This spirit of the true dragon was given to Feng Tian by Ao Feng when he descended from the demon realm. Of course, this was the decision of the demon realm's dragon emperor. And just now, Feng Tian had already consumed the spirit of the true dragon. You don't have to care about my matters. When I reach the demon realm's dragon clan, I will naturally explain to the dragon emperor. The aura on Feng Tian's body was simply shocking. Feng Tian indifferently swept a glance at everyone. The 10,000 beasts atlas is mine. Those who block me will die. Outside the palace door, Qin Yu's eyes shone. Such a powerful aura. I estimate that compared to my level 9 golden immortal sword immortal puppet, the difference is not big. Feng Tian stopped dreaming. Man Gong's low voice sounded. The broad-back machete in Man Gong's hand actually disappeared. On the contrary, a huge green mace that was emitting a black light appeared in Man Gong's hand. The aura on Man Gong's body was also rising. Hua Yan and Du Zhongjun stared. Everyone doesn't want to fight for that final treasure? For the 10,000 beasts atlas, everyone is starting to fight with their lives on the line. Chapter 300. Man Qian, who was in human form and had a beast head, was holding a green mace that was emitting a faint black light. The purple battle armor on his body further highlighted the curves of his muscles. Everyone on the field could feel the explosive energy within Man Qian's body. Meanwhile, Feng Tian's body was emitting a noble aura, and the strength of that aura even suppressed Man Gong by a head. Low-grade divine equipment. Feng Tian stared at the spiked club in Man Gong's hand. Man Gong's eyes were suffused with light, and his voice was thick. Divine equipment, heavy mountain razor. Feng Tian nodded. Sure enough, as I expected, as a super divine beast that descended to the mortal world, the monster emperor of the monster realm is probably worried about you, so it is normal for him to bestow you a low-grade divine artifact. But do you think that you can defeat me with just a low-grade divine artifact? Feng Tian was not in a hurry to make a move. This true dragon spirit is the spirit treasure of the dragon clan in the demon realm. The super divine beast 5-clawed golden dragon has the best effect when consuming it. Once consumed, the true dragon spirit will surround the Yuanying in the body. He could use the energy of the true dragon spirit whenever he wanted. There wasn't much time limit. That was why Feng Tian wasn't in a hurry to make a move. Man Qian shook his head and said with a smile, "That's right. After consuming the spirit of the true dragon, your strength has increased by quite a few levels. I'm afraid you are now equivalent to a super divine beast that is equivalent to a 5th-grade demon king, right? My strength was originally only that of a level 1 demonic beast sovereign. Even if I had a low-grade divine artifact, I would still be able to deal with people above my level. It can only deal with super divine beasts at the level of 3rd-grade demon kings." They were both super divine beasts. Even if Man Gong was a notch more powerful than Feng Tian in the past, Feng Tian who had consumed the true dragon spirit, his strength had already far surpassed Man Gong. "Then why aren't you moving aside?" Feng Tian smiled faintly. Feng Tian really enjoyed the feeling of controlling someone else's life. Man Gong shook his head and said, "I alone cannot stop you, but there are still quite a few people on the field. If we join forces, we can still stop you. Furthermore, Even though your energy level has increased to the level of a super divine beast of the 5th level Demon King, you are still a super divine beast. But can you use such a huge amount of energy perfectly? Feng Tian's expression changed slightly. Yes, he was only a 12th tribulation itinerant cultivator in the past, which was equivalent to a level 9 sky demon. All of a sudden, the energy in his body increased by dozens of times. It was impossible for Feng Tian to control it as smoothly as before. Just as Feng Tian and Man Gong were conversing with each other, Hua Yan, who was at the side secretly, his speed instantly reached the limit. With the Atlas of 10,000 beasts, even if you, Feng Tian, consume the spirit of the true dragon, I will not be afraid of you. Hua Yan reached out his hand to grab it. Hua Yan, you dare! Feng Tian suddenly roared. He extended his right hand, and a powerful claw-shaped energy rushed towards Hua Yan. When Hua Yan saw the terrifying energy, he was so scared that he immediately retreated frantically. Towards Hua Yan's act of stealing, Feng Tian was very angry and glared fiercely at Hua Yan. Hua Yan's heart trembled, and he didn't dare to say anything more. When he was on the Blue Clouds Road, that tall and sturdy man had actually displayed a terrifyingly powerful strength. He had no choice but to use the trump card that Emperor Yu had given him. Without his strongest trump card, how could Hua Yan dare to oppose Feng Tian? The 10,000 beasts atlas is mine. Feng Tian roared as he rushed over like a demon god. Yours. In your dreams. Man Gong also roared fiercely. Both of his hands held the low-grade divine equipment, Heavy Mountain Razor, and the surging energy in his body poured into the divine equipment, Heavy Mountain Razor. The divine equipment, Heavy Mountain Razor, carried an endless amount of energy and smashed towards Feng Tian. Wherever that Heavy Mountain Razor passed, the space would slightly vibrate. Fortunately, the 9 Heavens main hall contained the restrictions set by Immortal Emperor and I Yang. Otherwise, if it was in the outside world, just this attack alone would probably shatter the space. Scram! Feng Tian's strength was stronger than Man Gong's. A thick golden battle blade appeared in Feng Tian's right hand. This golden battle blade contained Feng Tian's current monstrous energy. It carried an endless amount of power and fiercely chopped towards the Heavy Mountain Razor. Meet force with force. When Man Gong saw this scene, traces of blood red actually appeared in his purple pupils. What he loved the most was to meet force with force. Pang! The thick golden battle blade and the divine equipment, Heavy Mountain Razor, collided. One was a top-grade demon equipment that contained Feng Tian's monstrous energy, while the other was a low-grade divine equipment that contained Man Gong's energy. However, in terms of strength, Feng Tian, who had consumed the spirit of the true dragon, far surpassed Man Gong. However, the result of the two meeting force was Man Gong flew backwards, and Feng Tian also continuously retreated a few steps. A low-grade divine equipment is indeed powerful. Feng Tian's heart desired the divine equipment even more. After consuming the spirit of the true dragon, his strength obviously far surpassed Man Gong. However, Man Gong relied on the power of the low-grade divine equipment to meet force with force, and did not even suffer much damage. However, you still cannot stop me. Feng Tian imbued a large amount of energy into the golden battle blade, and Feng Tian's entire person charged towards the 10,000 beasts atlas. Anyone who dared to block him would not necessarily suffer from his blade. Should I use that or not? At that moment, Man Gong's heart was hesitating. The low-grade divine equipment was only his weapon. Du Zhongjun had the blood spirit grass, and this Feng Tian had the spirit of the true dragon. How could he, Man Gong, not have a treasure to increase his power? It was just that Man Gong was reluctant to use it. No matter whether he was reluctant or not, Man Gong did not want others to snatch away the 10,000 beasts atlas. Immediately, he once again fiercely smashed the divine equipment, Heavy Mountain Razor, towards Feng Tian. Pang! The golden battle blade against the spiked club divine equipment, heavy mountain razor. Man Gon's face flushed red, and his entire person was uncontrollably sent flying backwards by the recoil. Meanwhile, Feng Tian had an excited smile on his face as he arrived in front of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas, and reached out his hand to grab it. Meanwhile, at that moment, a sharp blade energy slashed over, and it was precisely Zhong Ju. Feng Tian noticed that the person who came was actually Zhong Ju, and immediately lamented in his heart that Zhong Ju was overestimating himself, and casually waved the golden battle blade. At that moment, even if Feng Tian casually attacked, it was also comparable to Man Gon's full power attack. A long and narrow battle blade against a golden battle blade. How is that possible? Feng Tian felt that intense recoil energy, and his body uncontrollably flew backwards a few steps. Meanwhile, Zhong Ju's entire person was like a willow catkin floating away. This weapon that Senior Lan gave is indeed extremely hard, and even neutralized quite a lot of the recoil energy. Zhong Ju was overjoyed. It should be over. Qinyu, who was at the entrance of the Great Hall, slowly said in his heart. Times Man Gon, Zhong Ju, and Du Zhongjun consecutively attacked. That Du Zhongjun also had quite a number of treasures. Other than the most important blood spirit bulrush, there was also the flying guillotine, and even the 100 Thunder paralyzing talisman. This 100 Thunder paralyzing talisman was the price that Hua Yan had paid when he had asked Du Zhongjun for finest grade elemental spirit stones. 3 against 1. Only the continuous rumbling sounds within the Great Hall could be heard. You go down, I go up, and they fought until the sky turned dark. Meanwhile, Yu Liang, Hua Yan, and Ao Feng did not attack, and only watched from the side. Suddenly, a loud shout rang out. Man Gon, Zhong Ju, and Du Zhongjun were all sent flying. Meanwhile, Feng Tian stood proudly in the middle. At that moment, Feng Tian's heart was filled with anger. At the beginning, when he used the spirit of the true dragon's energy, he only used a portion, and just now he used close to 50% in one breath. I have said earlier, the 10,000 Beasts Atlas belongs to me. Feng Tian walked to the side of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. Meanwhile, Man Gon, Zhong Ju, and Du Zhongjun were all shocked. The energy of that attack from Feng Tian just now was really too terrifying. Everyone, have you caused enough trouble? An indifferent voice rang out, and a stern man wearing a dark green robe, with a head of scattered long hair, and a long sword on his back, appeared in the middle of the Great Hall. Lan Feng, Hua Yan, Yu Liang, Ao Feng, and the others all cried out in surprise. Even the injured Man Gon, Zhong Ju, Du Zhongjun, and the others were shocked to the extreme. When did this Sword Immortal Lan Feng come? Sword Immortal Lan Feng, why are you here? Feng Tian smiled faintly, and at the same time, his right hand grabbed towards the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. Sword Immortal Lan Feng smiled, and drew his sword. The sword left its scabbard, and sword energy crisscrossed. Shoo! An extremely condensed sword energy tore through space, and suddenly arrived beside Feng Tian. Greatly shocked, Feng Tian used his golden battle blade to chop at the sword energy. When the golden battle blade touched the sword energy, Feng Tian's entire body shook, and he retreated a few dozen meters. Your strength is too weak, Lan Feng said indifferently, and his entire body turned into a series of afterimages. His long sword actually stabbed in front of Feng Tian. How could he be so strong? Feng Tian's heart was filled with disbelief, but facing Lan Feng's attack, Feng Tian still poured his energy into the golden battle blade, and then fiercely chopped at the long sword in Lan Feng's hand. I have consumed the spirit of the true dragon. You cannot defeat me, Feng Tian roared. The golden battle blade and Lan Feng's long sword collided. A cracking sound rang out, and the golden battle blade actually turned into fragments. Feng Tian himself flew out and smashed into the Great Hall's wall, and blood spurted out from his mouth, staining the walls of the Great Hall. Silence. Frightening. Man Gon, Zhong Ju, Yu Liang, Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, Ao Feng, and the heavily injured Feng Tian all looked at Sword Immortal Lan Feng in disbelief. The extremely powerful Feng Tian, under Sword Immortal Lan Feng's sword, did not have the slightest resistance. This group of people just watched Sword Immortal Lan Feng reach out and take the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. He nodded and said, 10,000 Beasts Atlas. Immortal Emperor and Yang's 10,000 Beasts Atlas belongs to me. It is only right. Sword Immortal Lan Feng flipped his hand, and the 10,000 Beasts Atlas disappeared. At this moment, Qin Yu, who was at the entrance of the Great Hall, felt a burst of relief in his heart. 10,000 Beasts Atlas. I need to study it carefully. I need to see what this 10,000 Beasts Atlas is. It should be time for my performance soon. Lan Feng was Qin Yu's Sword Immortal puppet, and his every movement was controlled by Qin Yu. Naturally, the words he spoke were also controlled by Qin Yu. Brother Lan Feng, you. Are you really Brother Lan Feng? Mangon asked. Sword Immortal Lan Feng smiled and said, What? How long has it been since we last met? You don't even recognize me. No, not at all. Mangon shook his head and smiled bitterly. According to what I know, Brother Lan Feng's strength did not seem to be that strong. Feng Tian, who had consumed the spirit of the true dragon, was equivalent to a level 5 Demon King Super Divine Beast, and was comparable to a level 6 Golden Immortal Sword Immortal. As for Brother Lan Feng, you were at most a level 2 Golden Immortal in the past. When everyone saw that Lan Feng's attitude was not bad, they all relaxed. Zhongju also asked, That's right, when did Brother Lan Feng's strength become so strong? A level 6 Golden Immortal Sword Immortal. I had already reached that level 10,000 years ago. Lan Feng said indifferently. 10,000 years ago. Mangon and the others were stunned. They did not see Qin Yu, who was at the entrance of the Great Hall, trying hard to hold back his smile. Course. Qin Yu instantly restrained himself. Lan Feng nodded and said, Of course. The last time at Mount Qingsu, you all did not discover my true strength. Firstly, I had concealed it, and secondly, I was indeed in a seriously injured state at that time. Now, my injuries have already completely recovered. Brother Lan Feng, this in Yang's realm is not an ordinary place. Why did you suddenly appear? Mangon asked the question that was on everyone's mind. To enter in Yang's realm. One was to rely on the Sundering the Heavens diagrams, and the other was to rely on Qin Yu. In the beginning, everyone did not seem to have discovered Lan Feng. Why did this Lan Feng suddenly appear? Martial uncle, why have you come? Qin Yu's surprised and slightly excited voice resounded through the entire palace hall. The expression on Qin Yu's face displayed what it meant to be surprised, what it meant to be in disbelief. That surprised and excited expression was simply perfect to the extreme. Oh, martial nephew, I did not inform you of my arrival this time. Lan Feng smiled and said to Qin Yu, Martial uncle, I remember that other than the Sundering the Heavens diagrams and the method you told me, there are no other ways to enter in Yang's realm. How did you enter? Qin Yu inquired. Mangon, Zhongju and the others were also waiting for Lan Feng's answer. Lan Feng smiled and said, Martial nephew, the method you used to enter was told to you by me. Don't tell me that I still have no way to enter. Qin Yu suddenly realized. The others also understood a little in their hearts. Even the method Qin Yu used to enter was told by Lan Feng, so it was not strange that Lan Feng could enter. Martial uncle, on the stone tablet in the White Jade Plaza, it said that there were top-grade elemental holy ores left for us, but we did not see any top-grade elemental holy ores. Was it you? Qin Yu asked again. Lan Feng smiled, neither nodding nor shaking his head. No wonder we could not find any top-grade elemental holy ores at that time. It turns out that Brother Lan Feng came early. Ao Feng said with a smile. In reality, Qin Yu also did not know where those top-grade elemental holy ores had gone, but Qin Yu said so to increase his credibility. Lan Feng suddenly shook his head and sighed. The time I entered Anyang's realm was only 1 day earlier than all of you. At that time I wanted to pass through the Blue Clouds Road and enter the Great Hall, but because all of you had also entered Anyang's realm, and all of you did not pass through the Blue Clouds Road. As a result, the restriction on the door of the Nine Heavens Great Hall has always been in place, which is why I could not enter. That is why I said, this 10,000 beasts atlas originally should have been obtained by me. Hearing Lan Feng's words, the others understood many things in their hearts. Lan Feng had entered earlier than them, and because they had also entered, the restriction on the door was not activated, so Lan Feng had no way to enter. Everyone, do not waste time. The Nine Heavens Great Hall has a total of 9 floors, and this is only the first floor. There are still 8 floors above. Lan Feng said with a smile, Martial nephew, you follow behind Martial uncle. Yes, Martial uncle. Qin Yu respectfully complied, and immediately followed behind Sword Immortal Lan Feng. This Martial uncle and Martial nephew pair walked up the stairs first. Intimidated by Lan Feng's valiant strength, Ao Feng, Man Gon, Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan, the 4 great emissaries, and Feng Tian could only follow behind this pair of Martial uncle and Martial nephew. Chapter 301. The area of the Nine Heavens Palace is very large, and the stairs are also very spacious, enough for 5 or 6 people to walk side by side. Only. At this moment, only Lan Feng is at the front, Qin Yu is at the back, and Man Gon and the rest of the 7 are at Qin Yu's back. Man Gon, this Lan Feng is too strong. Even Feng Tian, who used the true dragon spirit, was easily defeated. Do you have any hope of defeating him? Du Zhongjun secretly sent a message through the transmission talisman. Man Gon's mouth has a trace of a bitter smile and replied, Brother Du, you think too highly of me. In terms of the heaven and earth spiritual treasures with the strongest amplitude, this true dragon spirit definitely belonged to the top category. Moreover, the 5-clawed golden dragon who uses the true dragon spirit has the best effect. Even if I take out all of my treasures and add on a low-grade artifact, my strength is at most slightly stronger than Feng Tian, who used the true dragon spirit. In front of Lan Feng I will lose. Du Zhongjun is silent. Du Zhongjun and Man Gon are helpless. At this moment, Hua Yan, Feng Tian, Ao Feng, Zhongju and the others are almost desperate. After all, Lan Feng's strength is too strong, to the point that even if they use their final trump card, they will not be able to resist. Originally, everyone had some expectations for the treasures in Anyang's realm, but Lan Feng's strength is like a heavy hammer that smashed their greed. After all, the gap is too big. The expressions on each of the experts' faces are really funny. Qin Yu casually glanced behind him, seeing the expressions of these experts. He could not help but secretly laugh. There should be a lot of treasures in Anyang's realm. I don't need much, so I'll leave the more valuable treasures to them. Stepping on the 2nd floor of the Nine Heavens. In the center of the Nine Heavens is a magnificent hall. Outside the hall there are 3 passageways. Each passageway has many rooms. In this hall, the most attractive thing is the 5-meter-long and 3-meter-tall stone tablet erected in the middle of the hall. Everyone's attention is completely focused on that huge stone tablet. Congratulations to everyone for arriving at the 2nd layer of the Nine Heavens. From tomorrow. In this 2nd layer of the test, it will determine who will ultimately obtain the painting of the lost god. Seeing the first line of words, everyone's breathing became heavy. Qin Yu was puzzled. What is the painting of the lost god? On the other hand, Man Gon, Ao Feng, Hua Yan, Du Zhongjun and the others became excited. This time, their goal in descending to the mortal realm was precisely this painting of the bewitching god, known as the absolute #1 treasure in the immortal, devil and demon realm. If I'm not mistaken, there should be a messenger from the demon realm, a messenger from the dragon clan, and a messenger from the devil realm. I just don't know if the messenger from the immortal realm is still alive. You must have descended to the mortal world for the painting of the bewitching god, right? However, there is only one painting of the lost god, so if you want to obtain the painting of the lost god, it will depend on the strength of each of you. The stone tablet was huge, and there were many words on it. Everyone was looking at it seriously. Mayan Yang's realm has countless treasures, and most of them are hidden in various places of the Yang's realm. Within these 9 heavens, the most essential parts are stored in the 9th, 8th, and 7th heavens. Everyone's eyes lit up. The number of treasures immortal Emperor Yang had accumulated over the years was simply frightening. The 9 heavens palace was only so big. If all of them were placed inside, it would be impossible to store them all. Therefore, only the most essential parts were stored in the 7th to 9th heavens. From the 7th to the 9th heavens, these 3 heavens each contain a divine tool. At the same time, the 9th heavens contains the painting of the bewitching god. Therefore, the most precious treasures are still in the 9th heavens. There were only so many words on the front of the stone tablet. Mangon's voice sounded, truly worthy of being called the immortal emperor with the most divine tools. Every heavens has a divine tool. Mother, including the Atlas of 10,000 beasts, there are at least 4 divine tools. Immortal Emperor Yang possessed the painting of the bewitching god. It is not strange for him to possess so many divine tools. Hua Yan said indifferently. Qin Yu looked at these words, and also listened to Man Gon and the others' narration. In his heart he knew many things. Immortal Emperor Yang, known as the Immortal Emperor with the most divine tools. Qin Yu remembered it in his heart. That painting of the bewitching god, even the big shots of the immortal devil and demon realms coveted it. Its value can be imagined. At this time, Man Gon and the others did not move. They had already guessed that there were words on the stone tablet, but Lan Feng did not move. Man Gon, Ao Feng and the others also did not dare to move. Brother Lan Feng, there are also words left behind by Immortal Emperor Yang. Ao Feng reminded. At this time, Qin Yu woke up from his stupor. So these people were waiting for me. Qin Yu secretly laughed in his heart. At this time, Lan Feng also spoke. Yes, of course I know about this, but I see that you all seem to be afraid of me. Lan Feng said as he looked at the crowd. Everyone's smile suddenly froze. Lan Feng smiled. Don't worry, didn't you see these words just now? Immortal Emperor Yang said that there are divine tools from the 7th to the 9th floor. I will not take more. I will take the ones that suit me. As for the others, I will not take them by force. When the time comes, who will be able to obtain them will depend on your own luck. Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun and the others' faces suddenly had a pleasantly surprised smile. Even if they did not obtain the painting of the bewitching god, obtaining a divine tool was also a matter that would make them go crazy with joy. Seeing the expressions on everyone's faces, Qin Yu sneered in his heart. Laugh, laugh. If Man Gon and the others obtain a divine tool, then so be it. As for Ao Feng, Du Zhongjun, Hua Yan and the others, that's just a dream. Qin Yu still remembered in his heart that when he was traversing the Blue Clouds Road, these people sent him a message. In addition to the information that he learned later, Qin Yu could easily deduce. If Du Zhongjun and the others wanted to enter the 9 heavens early, it would be like sending themselves to death. The commanding tone in the message, as well as the way they did not treat Qin Yu's life as a life, all of these made Qin Yu feel disgusted with these people. However, the current Qin Yu was too lazy to deal with his mother. Everyone go to the back and look. Lan Feng said indifferently, and then walked to the opposite side of the stone tablet. As soon as Lan Feng's voice fell, Ao Feng and the others quickly walked to the opposite side of the stone tablet, and carefully began to observe. Below is the final test of Yang's realm for you, and also the only way for you to leave alive. Qin Yu's eyes lit up. He had a way to enter Yang's realm, but how to leave? He did not know, but now the stone tablet mentioned it. If you want to leave alive, or if you want to obtain the treasures from the 7th to 9th floor, you must set foot on the 3rd floor of the 9 heavens. Once you enter the 3rd floor, you will be faced with a choice. Choose how powerful the Sundering the Heavens sword Qi is. In the third floor of the 9 heavens, there are 17 rooms. In the first room, I suppress my strength to that of a level 1 golden immortal and release my most powerful sundering the heavens sword chi. In the second room, I suppress my strength to that of a level 2 golden immortal and release my most powerful sundering the heavens sword chi. And so on. In the 9th room, I suppress my strength to that of a level 9 golden immortal and release my sundering the heavens sword chi. In the 10th room, I release my most powerful sundering the heavens sword chi of a level 1 mystic immortal. And in the 17th room, I release my most powerful sundering the heavens sword chi of a level 8 mystic immortal. Every room has 3 sundering the heavens sword chi. Everyone must choose a room to enter. Once you enter a room, you must directly resist the sundering the heavens sword chi. If you rely on your movement technique to dodge, you will be instantly killed by the restrictions of the room. If you fail to resist, you will also die. Only if you succeed will you be able to leave alive. Everyone felt their hearts tremble. One must directly resist the sundering the heavens sword chi. Only those who succeed will be able to leave alive. If you do not choose to enter a room, the final outcome will also be death. This sentence caused the last trace of hope in Hua Yan and the others' hearts to disappear. The final challenger. It depends on how many levels the challenger is able to resist the sundering the heavens sword chi. For example, if a level 9 golden immortal chooses to enter the second room, the strongest sundering the heavens sword chi of a level 2 golden immortal. If he succeeds in resisting, then he will be considered to have succeeded by 2 levels. The person who surpasses the most sundering the heavens sword chi will be ranked first. They will be directly transported to the 9th floor of the 9 heavens sword chi. According to the number of sundering the heavens sword chi, the top 3 will respectively enter the 9th, 8th, and 7th floor. Everyone's eyes lit up when they saw the densely packed words. The more sundering the heavens sword chi, the higher the probability of obtaining the painting of the lost god. At this moment, Du Zhongjun became excited. Haha, so it depends on the sundering the heavens sword chi. I have the blood spirit grass. I can roughly block a level 6 golden immortals sundering the heavens sword chi. That Lan Feng is strong, but how many levels can he surpass? 5 levels. How can he possibly block a level 5 mystic immortal sword chi? Not only Du Zhongjun, but even Man Gon and the others were extremely excited. This so-called sundering the heavens sword chi was very advantageous to them. Unfortunately, they did not know that sword immortal Lan Feng was only a sword immortal puppet. I am only at the Deshang stage. If I block a level 9 golden immortal sword chi, wouldn't it be 18 levels? There is no doubt that I will win. Qin Yu's heart was full of confidence. But at the same time, Qin Yu was also puzzled by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's setting. Sundering the heavens sword chi depended on the number of sundering the heavens sword chi, and not on the challenger's strength. Could it be that this is to determine the challenger's potential? Qin Yu's heart was filled with doubts. To be able to block a sundering the heavens sword chi, this meant that the challenger was able to display strength that exceeded his own level. Not good. If that Lan Feng finds out that this rule is disadvantageous to him, will he kill us? Du Zhongjun was the first to react. Even if they could surpass more sundering the heavens sword chi, if Lan Feng were to kill them, at most the treasures would fall into Lan Feng's hands. Only a gust of wind could be heard. Du Zhongjun was the first to rush to the 3rd floor, and Hua Yan and the others also reacted. One by one, they quickly rushed to the 3rd floor. In the blink of an eye, only Qin Yu and the sword immortal puppet were left in the hall of the 2nd floor. So anxious, are you afraid that I will kill them? If I wanted to kill them, I would have already done so. Qin Yu indifferently smiled. Breakthrough. If he could surpass 18 levels, who could surpass him? The treasures of the 9th floor of the 9 heavens were already determined to be his. Let's see what the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts is first. Qin Yu was not in a hurry to enter the 3rd floor, but instead took out the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts, and then carefully dripped his blood on it to bind it. After the blood dripped onto the surface of the golden scroll and was absorbed, the entire golden scroll began to shine. Lucky Jr., congratulations on obtaining the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts. That familiar voice sounded in Qin Yu's mind, and at the same time, a proud and aloof figure also appeared in Qin Yu's mind. Qin Yu's first reaction was, this person was Immortal Emperor Enai Yang. After he obtained the White Profound Lord's ring, the two rings merged into the blazing Profound ring, and this figure also appeared in Qin Yu's mind. The Atlas of 10,000 Beasts is an extremely precious divine tool. Junior, let me first introduce it to you. This Atlas of 10,000 Beasts is divided into 3 worlds. The first world is inhabited by heavenly demon-level spirit beasts. The second world is inhabited by demon king-level spirit beasts. The third world is inhabited by demon emperor-level spirit beasts. Qin Yu's heart trembled. Heavens, this is equivalent to countless spirit beast collars. The third world is inhabited by demon emperor-level spirit beasts. Reaching the strength of a level 1 immortal, one can open the first world and control all spirit beasts in the first world. Reaching the strength of a level 1 golden immortal, one can open the second world and control all spirit beasts in the second world. Reaching the strength of a level 1 mystic immortal, one can open the third world and control all spirit beasts in the third world. Junior, for people with weaker strength like you, the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts is indeed a very precious treasure. Use it well, use it. I think you can enter an even more powerful room in the next level, and surpass even more levels. Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's voice contained benevolence. Qin Yu could only feel his heart trembling. At the same time, Qin Yu had already begun to pour his star force into the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts, to see if he could open the first world. Although he was at the Deshang stage, but after cultivating the star force transformation to the Deshang stage, Qin Yu's strength was definitely comparable to a level 1 immortal. According to the introduction, it only depended on how much strength one had. Sure enough, the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts in his body trembled, and Qin Yu's whole mind entered the first world of the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts. A green space, a vast land, and rich spiritual energy. But in just a moment, Qin Yu sensed a large number of spirit beasts in the first world of the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts. His soul had a feeling that he had complete control over the life of these spirit beasts. The Atlas of 10,000 Beasts and the spirit beast collars effect was not much different. Both made spirit beasts recognize him as their master. But the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts did not have a limit on the number of spirit beasts. Who is the leader of the spirit beasts in the first world of the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts? Qin Yu issued a command in his heart, and all the spirit beasts in the first world of the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts heard Qin Yu's command. In the fourth world of the 9 heavens, a dark and thin man sat cross-legged. This man looked very mature, but his stature was similar to that of a teenager. Only this dark and thin man's muscles flashed with a strange light. This dark and thin man suddenly opened his eyes. Wherever his gaze passed, the void collapsed. The challenger has finally arrived. Nayang, it's almost time for me to leave this mortal world. How did I fall for your trick that year? Trapped for one day, trapped for life. The dark and thin man's eyes flashed with a trace of helplessness. Chapter 302. My lord, you've finally come. I am the leader of the first layer of the Atlas, Shuyan. A seductive white-clothed woman was standing there respectfully. The white-clothed woman's voice sounded in Qin Yu's mind. Shuyan. Qin Yu nodded. I noticed that the weakest spirit beast in the first layer of the Atlas is a level 7 demon. There are hundreds of level 9 demon beasts. Why is that? As the owner of the Atlas, Qin Yu was still unable to control the second and third layers of the Atlas, but he still had a thorough understanding of the first layer. In the first layer, the weakest spirit beast was a level 7 demon, and the strongest was a level 9 demon. There were 200 to 300 level 9 heavenly demons and several hundred level 8 and level 7 heavenly demons. Altogether, there were close to 1,000 spirit beasts. This made Qin Yu very puzzled. Why were the weakest spirit beasts a level 7 demon? My lord, when we followed Emperor Ni Yang through the immortal, devil and demon realms, there were many level 2 and level 3 demons in the first layer. However, many years have passed since Emperor Ni Yang's death. After such a long time, most of the spirit beasts with good aptitudes have reached the Demon King realm and were directly transported to the second layer. We are the ones with poor aptitudes, Qian said with some shame. Qin Yu was slightly startled. He finally understood. Emperor Ni Yang's death had been a long time ago. Such a long time was enough for the spirit beasts to reach the Demon King realm. This was also the reason why the weakest spirit beast in the first layer was a level 7 demon. You are the ones with poor aptitudes. Could it be? There are more spirit beasts in the second layer. Qin Yu asked. Shu Yan understood. My lord, I'm afraid you haven't reached the Demon King realm, so you don't know about the second layer of the Atlas. Yes, there are definitely more spirit beasts in the second layer than in the first. From what we know, the number of spirit beasts transported from the first layer to the second layer is more than 1,000. Qin Yu was secretly shocked. What a powerful force this was. Level 9 demon beasts. Aren't they just 12th tribulation rogue cultivators? Right now, he actually had 200 to 300 of them. There was also a large number of level 8 and level 7 heavenly demons. Qin Yu's heart trembled. No wonder Ao Feng and the others wanted the 10,000 beasts atlas so badly. They were all level 1 demon kings. If they obtained the 10,000 beasts atlas, then he would be able to open the second layer. In other words, it can only control level 9 demon kings. Qin Yu was shocked. His level 9 golden immortal sword immortal puppet was already so powerful. If Ao Feng and the others obtained the 10,000 beasts atlas, wouldn't they be able to obtain a lot of grade 9 demon king spirit beasts? In that case, even if he used the sword immortal puppet, he would not be able to compete with others for the treasures. Fortunately, I acted quickly. Qin Yu secretly rejoiced. Qin Yu was not worried that these spirit beasts would rebel. If the spirit beasts wanted to rebel, their masters would know immediately. With just a thought from their masters, the spirit beasts would die on the spot. If the spirit beast wanted to regain its freedom, there were only 2 ways. One was to cultivate to the point where he could separate himself from his soul, which was almost impossible. The second way was the master's death. The premise was that the master's death had nothing to do with the spirit beasts. Sometimes, there were some despicable masters who would kill all their spirit beasts when they died. After all, if the master wanted to kill his spirit beasts, it would only take a thought. With just a thought, the spirit beasts' souls would scatter. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang was still okay. He was not ruthless enough to kill all the spirit beasts when he died. If he had killed them, then I would have to catch the spirit beasts myself. That would have made people helpless. Qin Yu secretly rejoiced. When Immortal Emperor Ni Yang died, he did not kill the spirit beasts. Instead, he left them to the people who came after him. And at this time, people of the second layer of the 9 heavens quickly enter the third layer. If you do not enter the third layer's room, it will be considered as forfeit. You will be killed by the restrictions of the 9 heavens. A cold voice transmitted into Qin Yu's ears. Qin Yu was startled. He hurriedly entered the third layer with Lan Feng. Times at this moment, in the central hall of the third layer of the 9 heavens, Man Gon, Du Zhongjun, and the rest of the 7 people were standing respectfully. These 7 people did not dare to show the slightest disrespect, because in front of them stood a thin, dark man. The thin, dark man merely glanced at everyone, and everyone present felt as if they were a small boat in the middle of a huge wave. Their lives were no longer in their own hands. Following the sound of footsteps, Qin Yu followed Lan Feng into the third layer of the hall. The thin, dark man's face did not have a trace of a smile. He was very old-fashioned and cold, but when he looked at Qin Yu, he gave a rare smile and nodded his head. When he looked at the sword immortal puppet, his face showed a trace of surprise. Boy, is this an external incarnation? No, your power is so weak. How can an external incarnation be so strong? It's too strange, I can't even feel its presence. Could it be? In Qin Yu's mind, the thin, dark man's voice sounded. The thin, dark man's gaze towards Qin Yu changed again. Unexpected, if it was those two idiots, they definitely wouldn't be able to see it. Boy, originally I was not satisfied with you becoming this generation's master of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. But now, I am very satisfied. The thin, dark man's face looked like a blooming flower. When Qin Yu heard the thin, dark man's words, he was confused. What does he mean? Seeing the sword immortal puppet. He is very satisfied with me becoming the master of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. What kind of logic is this? Qin Yu simply could not understand. But Qin Yu could feel that. The thin, dark man in front of him was too terrifying, much more terrifying than the sword immortal puppet. Well, all 9 of you are here. The thin, dark man's voice was a little heavier when he said 9. At the same time, he deliberately looked at Qin Yu with a smile. Then he looked at everyone with a straight face. Qin Yu understood that the thin, dark man had seen through the sword immortal puppet's background. Now let's see who can skip the most. There are 17 rooms here. Each room can be entered 3 times. First choice. The thin, dark man pointed at Hua Yan. Hua Yan was startled. In fact, no one wanted to be the first to choose. But in the face of the thin, dark man's order, who dared to resist? Yes, senior. Hua Yan said respectfully. But Hua Yan saw a sharp light in the thin, dark man's eyes. Unexpectedly, Hua Yan actually chose the room with the weakest sword energy. The first room. The sword energy in the first room was the strongest sword energy released by Immortal Emperor Yang when he suppressed it to level 1 Golden Immortal. The first room. Hua Yan, are you stupid? Du Zhongjun said. Hua Yan shook his head and smiled bitterly. Immortal Emperor Yang is very disgusted with the Immortal Realm Emissary. I am afraid that if I choose the strongest sword energy, it may cost my life. I will choose the first room. Clap, clap, clap. The thin, dark man clapped his hands and said, Smart, Yang is indeed very disgusted with the Immortal Realm Emissary. At that time, his death cannot be separated from your Immortal Realm Emperor Yu. When the others heard, they immediately understood. Immortal Emperor Yang's death, so it was because of Immortal Emperor Yu and the other Immortal Emperors. No wonder Immortal Emperor Yang was so disgusted with the Immortal Realm Emissary. Immortal Realm Emissary. At that time Yang had told me that if I meet someone from the Immortal Realm, the difficulty will be increased by 3 times. Even if you enter the first room, the 3 sword energies will attack you at the same time, be careful. The thin, dark man actually revealed some secrets. Hua Yan's heart was happy. He immediately bowed and said, Thank you, senior. If the thin, dark man did not reveal this information, when he entered the room, when he was unprepared, the 3 sword energies would have shot at him at the same time. He could have died on the spot. Don't be so long-winded, today I am in a good mood. Haha, I also have to thank Emperor Yu and the others. If not for Immortal Emperor Yang's death, how could the Atlas of 10,000 Beasts have its current owner? The thin, dark man's face was full of smiles. Qin Yu at the side was full of doubts. This thin, dark man did not seem to be sad about Yang's death at all. Why are you still not entering? The thin, dark man suddenly shouted with a cold face. That cold shout caused Hua Yan's entire face to instantly turn pale. At the same time a trace of blood flowed out from his mouth. Just a cold shout, the power was actually so great. It caused everyone's heart to be incomparably shocked. Yes, senior. Hua Yan did not dare to waste any more time. He directly entered the first room. In just a short while, the pale-faced Hua Yan walked out of the room. Just a cold shout from the thin, dark man had already seriously injured him. Under the condition of being seriously injured, he still had to face 3 heaven-sundering sword energies. It was fortunate that he did not die. You are really lucky. The thin, dark man laughed, then waved one hand. A line of words appeared on the wall of the hall. Immortal Realm, Hua Yan, Level 0 Success. The second Aofeng. The thin, dark man pointed at Ao Feng. Ao Feng bowed and said, "Yes, senior." After saying that, Ao Feng did not dare to delay and directly entered the third room. The scene of Hua Yan being injured by the cold shout was still remembered by everyone. Who dared to delay? Only to hear the furious roar of a dragon coming from the room. In just a short moment, Ao Feng walked out of the room. His face was slightly pale, and there were traces of blood on his body. The thin, dark man waved his hand, and another line of words appeared on the wall under Hua Yan. Dragon Clan, Ao Feng, Level 2 Success. At this moment, everyone was holding their breaths. After two people came out alive in a row, everyone understood that no matter what, no matter the situation, they could not be too greedy. Under the premise of preserving their lives, they should try their best to challenge as many rooms as possible. Third, Yu Liang. The thin, dark man pointed at Yu Liang again. Yu Liang was very puzzled. How did this thin, dark man know his name? After all, he had never mentioned his name in front of this thin, dark man. Although he was puzzled, Yu Liang still very straightforwardly and respectfully said, "Yes, senior." Then he directly entered the second room. Yu Liang was only a 12th tribulation loose demon. He originally wanted to challenge the first room, but the three sword energies in the first room were all used up in one go against Hua Yan. Therefore he could only choose the second room. Man Gon, Du Zhongjun, Feng Tian, Zhongju, Qin Yu and the others silently waited. The further they went, the easier it was to choose which room to enter based on the other person's results. After a while, the door to the second room opened. Yu Liang's clothes were completely destroyed, and his body was covered in blood. He was so seriously injured that he did not even have the energy to tidy up his appearance. Once he came out, he collapsed on the ground. Fortunately, there was only one sword energy. Fortunately, I had a top-grade demon artifact. If there was another sword energy, I would definitely be dead. Yu Liang collapsed on the ground and quietly began to recover. The thin, dark man smiled and nodded, then waved his hand. After Hua Yan and Ao Feng, another line of words appeared. Demon Clan, Yu Liang, Level 2 Success. Next, Man Gon. The thin, dark man said indifferently. Man Gon had a smile on his face. He was absolutely confident. He bowed and said, "Yes, senior." Then he directly strode into the seventh room. It contained the most powerful sword energy of a level 7 golden immortal. Although it was the most powerful, it was only one sword energy. Man Gon believed that he had consumed that treasure, in addition to his low-grade divine artifact. He was still confident that he could block this sword energy. After all, he was not asked to kill a level 7 golden immortal sword immortal, but only to block a sword energy. The seventh room. Du Zhongjun's face changed. He and Man Gon were both level 1 demon kings, devil kings. Du Zhongjun himself did not have the courage to enter the seventh room. He was confident that he could enter the sixth room, but as for the seventh room, he was not confident that he could survive. Following an earth-shattering roar, the door to the seventh room opened. Man Gon, with his entire body surrounded by energy, confidently walked out. The thin, dark man waved his hand, and another line of words appeared. Demon Clan, Man Gon, Level 6 Success. Suddenly, just now there were already 4 people who entered the room. Among them, Hua Yan was ranked last, because in the end, only 3 people could enter the corresponding floor of the palace. Therefore, Hua Yan must now leave Nayang's realm. The thin, dark man said indifferently. Everyone present was stunned. The thin, dark man waved his hand. An ray of light completely enveloped the stunned Hua Yan. Hua Yan disappeared into thin air before everyone's eyes. Hua Yan has already been teleported out of Nayang's realm. Man Gon, Ao Feng, Yu Liang, you 3 are temporarily in the top 3. You 3 enter the 4th floor's hall first. If there is anyone who surpasses you, I will teleport the last one out. The thin, dark man waved his hand, and Man Gon, Ao Feng, and Yu Liang immediately disappeared from the third floor's hall. Senior Ao Feng, you and I both jumped 2 levels. Who is ranked second? Yu Liang and Ao Yan's conversation actually came down from the 4th floor's hall. In reality, the distance between the 4th floor's hall and the 3rd floor's hall was only 5 or 6 meters. Although Ao Feng and Yu Liang both jumped 2 levels, Ao Feng challenged the 3rd room, and Yu Liang challenged the 2nd room. Therefore, Ao Feng is ranked 2nd, and Yu Liang is ranked 3rd. The thin, dark man said indifferently. His voice naturally could be heard by the 4th floor's hall. That voice that suddenly came from below shocked Yu Liang and Ao Feng, and they immediately did not dare to speak. You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.